You wake up at exactly 5:59 a.m. on Christmas morning, 1 second before your alarm goes off. Again, just like last year, and the year before that. That's not a coincidence. Outside your window, the snow is falling in soft, movie-grade flakes, thick and slow, like someone choreographed the weather in advance. Your house is too quiet for Christmas morning. No paper tearing, no footsteps running, no squeals of surprise or early sugar highs. Just the ticking clock and the faint sound of something ancient holding its breath. You're 10 years old, and you've had enough of pretending this is normal. Your older sister, Giulietta, is still asleep, her face buried in the pillow like a kid who still believes Santa's got a naughty list and a moral compass. But you've started asking bigger questions, harder questions, like why the bad kids sometimes get the coolest presents, why the weather is always just right, why your grandmother, sweet little Granny Lourdes who smells like warm bread and keeps tissues in her sleeve, was spotted last Christmas Eve pulling a sled across the lawn at 3:12 a.m. with a box that had your name on it. You didn't tell anyone. Until now. This year you're done waiting. This year you're going to uncover the truth. Because if there really is a secret society of grandmothers controlling Christmas morning, deciding who wakes up when, who gets what, and whether it snows or not, someone needs to blow the lid off this peppermint-scented operation. And that someone is you. You spent the last 2 weeks building your kit. Binoculars, walkie-talkies, a neighborhood map, and a batch of cookies embedded with makeshift GPS trackers, really just pinto beans wrapped in aluminum foil, but the concept is solid. You even got Giulietta to join the mission, reluctantly. She made you promise that if you're wrong, you'll wash dishes until Easter. Last night, you both hid behind the living room armchair, pretending to sleep. At 2:17 a.m., you heard something in the kitchen. At 2:23, the living room light switched on by itself. No footsteps, no voices, just the soft click of the light switch and the sudden scent of lavender in the air. At 2:31, she appeared. Granny Lourdes. But not in her usual flannel robe and bunny slippers. She was dressed in a long black coat, knee-high leather boots, and, God help you, sunglasses. Indoors, at night, holding a tablet. She walked past you and Giulietta without flinching, typing rapidly on the screen. Giulietta whispered something that sounded like, "What the heck?" but barely louder than her own breathing. You followed her, quietly, through the kitchen, past the back door, into the garage. She stopped at the old tool cabinet. Then she did something that changed everything. She turned the handle 3 times left, twice right, and once down, like some kind of lock combination. The cabinet creaked, then opened inward like a secret door. Behind it, a staircase, steel, cold, leading underground. Granny Lourdes disappeared down into the dark. You and Giulietta stared at each other, both pale as powdered sugar. You whispered, "We go now." Giulietta just nodded. Step by careful step, you descended. The air got cooler. The smell changed, vanilla and crayons and something that felt like tightly sealed secrets. The underground room was huge, round, lit with soft white lights and glowing monitors. There were shelves lined with boxes, each labeled with names of children from your town. A central round table held 12 identical chairs, in each a grandmother, different sweaters, different smiles, same vibe. The vibe? Cold, capable, deeply organized. On the big central screen, glowing in red letters, Operation Snowdrop, Christmas Morning Protocol. Giulietta leaned in and whispered, "We just found the Illuminati of grandmothers." You replied, "And they're running Christmas." Your voice echoed just slightly. You winced. Then, without a word, one of the grandmothers turned and looked straight at you. She didn't yell, she didn't panic, she just smiled. You freeze. Giulietta grabs your arm, too tight. The grandmother who spotted you doesn't say anything, doesn't even blink. Her smile is as practiced, polite, like a waitress about to offer you the special, or a librarian who knows you're not supposed to be here. Then, slowly, she raises one hand and presses a button on her pearl bracelet. A soft chime echoes through the bunker. 11 other grandmothers stop what they're doing. One by one, they turn to face you. 12 grandmothers, 12 identical smiles. Giulietta whispers, Run. But it's too late. The floor beneath your feet tilts slightly. Not enough to throw you off balance, but just enough to remind you this place is alive. It responds. It's been waiting. You grab Giulietta's hand and take a cautious step back, but before you can bolt, the bunker's main screen changes. A soft ping. Then a line of text scrolls across in elegant cursive. New recruits detected. Initiate protocol. Hot cocoa. The nearest grandmother rises from her chair. She doesn't run. She glides. "Children," she says in a voice like warm syrup, "you've seen too much to go back to sleep." Giulietta tries to speak, but no sound comes out. You do better. "What is this place?" Another grandmother, taller, wearing an aggressively festive sweater covered in blinking lights, answers. "This, dear, is the Central Committee for Seasonal Calibration, but we call it the Circle." She winks. "It's easier for our joints." You blink at her. Giulietta finally finds her voice. "You're what, running Christmas?" The tallest grandmother shrugs as if it's obvious. "Of course we are. Who else could? The elves unionized. Santa's been semi-retired since '93. Parents, please, you've met your father." You think about your dad. He once gave you a plastic fork for your birthday and told you it was symbolic. Fair point. Another screen comes alive. Footage rolls. Your neighbors. Kids waking up. Trees lighting up simultaneously. Presents appearing like magic. And then a new clip. Grainy, surveillance style. You and Giulietta crawling behind the armchair hours earlier. Giulietta gasps. "They've been watching us." "No," says the grandmother in charge. "We've been protecting you, every year." She gestures toward the 12 boxes lined up on a steel shelf behind her, each labeled with your name, each marked by year. "Every child in this town," she says, "has their own Christmas profile. We track behavior, desires, allergies, emotional maturity, bedtime patterns." "Sleep patterns," you interrupt. "You're the reason we wake up at the same exact time every year?" The grandmothers nod in unison. It's both fascinating and deeply upsetting. Giulietta frowns. "That's creepy." Another grandmother steps forward, holding a thick binder labeled Sleep Interventions, Region 2B. "Would you rather wake up early and find disappointment under the tree? We adjust reality just enough to make joy possible. That's our job. We don't control Christmas. We curate it." You take another look around. One grandmother adjusts weather patterns on a touchscreen. Another stirs a cauldron of what looks suspiciously like memory foam and glitter. A third is talking softly into a headset. "Yes, redirect the snowstorm to Vermont. Michigan's already maxed out." It's a full-blown Christmas command center, and the more you look, the more it makes sense. All the weird coincidences, the perfectly timed snow, the way gifts seemed designed not just for what you wanted, but for what you needed. Giulietta squints at the tall grandmother. "So, you're saying this is all real? Santa's out. Elves are unionized. You 12 are behind everything." "Not everything," she says, pulling off her sunglasses. "Just the parts that matter." You exchange a look with Giulietta. It's not fear anymore, it's awe, but you're still not sure if this is good or evil. And then, just as you're about to ask another question, a siren blares. The lights flicker. The monitors go red. On the main screen, words flash in big, bold letters. "Intrusion, Eastern Sector, Operation Wet Sock." Panic breaks out, but quiet, organized panic, like a well-practiced drill. Grandmothers spring into motion, some pulling levers, others whispering into teacups that clearly double as communication devices. "Someone else is inside the system," one says. Another, "We have a breach." You feel a tug on your jacket. It's the first grandmother, the one who spotted you. "We don't think it's you two," she says softly. "But if you want to help, now's the time." You stare at her. "Help you?" She nods. "Christmas is under attack." And with that, she reaches into her pocket and pulls out a candy cane. Not just any candy cane, this one's glowing. She hands it to you like it's Excalibur. Giulietta whispers, "We are so grounded." You tighten your grip on the glowing candy cane. "I think we already were." Then the floor opens beneath you. You don't fall. You drop, controlled, silent, like the floor has made its peace with gravity. lights up as you descend. Walls lined with garland-tangled wiring and candy-striped cables. The air smells like static electricity and nutmeg. Giulietta is next to you, hair floating, eyes wide, mouthing, "What the actual—" You land softly, cushioned by what you hope is marshmallow foam. Around you, a narrow corridor pulsing with red emergency light. At the far end, a vault door groans shut behind another grandmother, one you didn't see upstairs. Her cardigan has patches that read Field Division and Silent Night Ops. She doesn't look back. The grandmother who gave you the glowing candy cane floats down behind you, perfectly calm, landing without a sound. She leans in. "Listen carefully, child. There is an intruder in the system. Someone or something is trying to rewrite Christmas." You frown. Rewrite? Yes, not cancel, not steal. Rewrite. Change the outcomes, the memories, the traditions. Giulietta crosses her arms. "Why would anyone do that?" The grandmother gives her a look only grandmothers can give, half love, half prophecy. "Because whoever controls Christmas morning controls how the year begins." You want to argue that this sounds dramatic, but something about the weight in her voice makes you shut up. She continues, "Your profiles were nearly corrupted. Someone tried to alter your sleep time, switch your gift delivery with the Henderson twins, and, most disturbingly, reroute your grandmother's access clearance." You blink. "They were trying to erase her." Giulietta gasps. "That's why she didn't recognize us for a second upstairs. She was glitching." The grandmother nods grimly. "Good, you're paying attention. Now follow me." She waves the candy cane toward a wall panel. It flashes green. A door opens. Beyond it, chaos. A war room. Not the cozy kind with fireplaces and gingerbread. No, this is sterile and sharp. Grandmothers in tactical aprons, multitasking like mission control. One is operating a console shaped like a gingerbread house, but blinking with encrypted code. Another is flipping through dossiers, names of children glowing with shifting symbols beside them. In the center of the room, a hologram of your neighborhood, zoomed in on your house. You lean closer. There's a red dot flashing in your attic. The grandmother points at it. "That is where the code was injected. Someone accessed our cloud line through your chimney port." Giulietta shakes her head. "That's not even a real sentence." The grandmother ignores her. "The question is, who has enough access, enough knowledge, and enough bitterness to even attempt this?" Another voice answers, from behind you. "Only someone who used to wear the brooch." You turn. It's a man. Elderly. Pale. Dressed like a toy repairman from a forgotten decade. Pressed slacks, oil-stained shirt, tweed suspenders. He carries a wrench the size of a baseball bat. Giulietta whispers, "Who is that?" The grandmother tightens her grip on your shoulder. "That," she says, "is Grandpa Victor, former head of Weather Ops. He was retired." "Fired," Victor corrects, stepping into the light. "I warned you. I said the emotional weight of Christmas morning was too powerful to be concentrated in 12 hands. But you laughed, you brewed your teas, you dismissed me." You notice his eyes twitch slightly. He's not unhinged, but he's not fully hinged either. Victor continues, "So I built my own system, a parallel construct, powered by memory loss, digital nostalgia, and artificial snow." He points at you. "I didn't mean for the boy to get caught in it, but now that you're here, I might as well show you what Christmas could be." He raises his wrench. The war room trembles. And suddenly you're not there anymore. You're in your living room or something like it. But it's wrong. The tree is flickering like a glitching screen. The ornaments float. The presents are wrapped in static. Your parents are sitting on the couch, expressionless. On the TV, a video loops. You as a baby opening a gift over and over and over. Giulietta screams, "This isn't real." Victor's voice echoes through the room. "Real is just a setting. This is better. No fighting, no disappointments. No forgotten kids or ruined surprises. Just eternal, perfect Christmas morning." You clutch the candy cane. It pulses in your hand like a heartbeat. You concentrate, focus, and whisper the one word you heard from the grandmother upstairs, The one that sounded less like a phrase and more like a spell. Calibration. The candy cane explodes in light. Reality cracks. Victor's illusion wobbles, then shatters like glass. You're back in the war room. Victor's gone. Smoke curls where he stood. The grandmother exhales. Very well done. You resisted a full nostalgic override. Julieta falls to the floor, panting. You just say, "What now?" The grandmother looks at the smoking floor, then at the blinking red dot on the hologram map, then at you. Now, she says, we find out how deep the infection goes. And for the first time since this all began, you hear real fear in her voice. The fear in her voice is like a draft under the door, subtle but chilling. Julieta's still catching her breath, eyes darting around the war room like she half expects another memory glitch to snap shut around her. You don't blame her. You're starting to realize this goes way beyond cookies and gift tags. This isn't about presents. This is about control. You grip the candy cane tighter. It's gone dim now, like a flashlight on low battery. The head grandmother, whose name you now learn is Agnes thanks to a glowing embroidery across her collar, pulls you aside away from the other grandmothers who are busy repairing firewall strings made of tinsel and emotional residue. She speaks low. There's something you need to understand. Victor wasn't working alone. Julieta freezes. Please don't say what I think you're going to say. Agnes nods solemnly. We believe there's a mole. Julieta slaps her forehead. Of course there is. Why wouldn't the secret society of Christmas grandmas have internal espionage? You ask the question you're already afraid to know the answer to. Who? Agnes doesn't blink. We think it might be your grandmother. You laugh, or try to. It comes out broken, like a cough pretending to be joy. No, you say. Granny Lourdes, she made me eggnog when I had the flu. She hand-knits socks for stray dogs. She sings Ave Maria with actual sincerity. Agnes places a small velvet-wrapped object in your hand. It's a brooch. Not just any brooch. The brooch. The one that all 12 grandmothers wear, indicating their status and access. The one your Granny Lourdes was missing tonight. Agnes leans in. She gave hers up, voluntarily, 6 days ago. Julieta narrows her eyes. That was the day she started baking obsessively. Like, really obsessively. I saw her threaten a raccoon with a spatula. You flash back to that moment. You'd thought she was just tired. You remember the lavender smell one, but underneath it something else, burnt sugar and something metallic. Agnes pulls up a holographic replay of your grandmother entering a chamber marked Deep Storage, Historical Traditions, Classified. The footage glitches halfway through. The lights flicker. Her shadow multiplies for a second, then merges back. She was inside for 7 minutes, Agnes says. When she came out, 2 things were missing. 1, the original naughty nice ledger. 2, the master snow code. You don't know what those things are. Julieta unfortunately does. She says it flatly. That's the algorithm that decides global snowfall on December 25th. Agnes confirms with a nod. If someone overrides it, they could bury Australia in a blizzard and give Canada a heat wave. Worse, they could flood the global gift exchange system, crash memory synchronization, even reroute entire families' traditions. She looks at you. Imagine waking up to a Christmas that doesn't feel like yours. Imagine all your best memories, rewritten. Julieta's voice drops to a whisper. She's not our grandmother anymore. You don't say anything. You just nod. A panel on the far wall opens with a soft hiss. Out steps a new figure. Not a grandmother. A girl. About your age. She's wearing what looks like tactical pajamas, midnight blue, stitched with shimmering thread. Her face is serious. Her hair is pulled back in a perfect braid, and on her wrist is a bracelet shaped like a tiny sleigh bell. She walks straight to Agnes. The breach in Sector 3C has been contained, she says in a crisp, practiced voice, but the resonant signature matches the one in the attic. Agnes turns to you. This is Clara. She's a junior operative, one of our youngest recruits. She'll be guiding you now. You blink. Wait, me? Clara steps forward. You've already passed through the veil. Your memory integrity is unusually strong. You resisted Victor, you touched the brooch. She pulls something from her pocket. It's a compass, but instead of pointing north, it spins wildly, then settles toward you. Clara presses it into your palm. Congratulations, she says. You're now part of Operation Rewind. Giulietta stares. I'm sorry. What is Operation Rewind? Agnes gives a heavy sigh. It's our last resort. A mission to recover stolen data from corrupted timelines and extract compromised agents. Giulietta raises her hand like she's in math class. Wait, are you saying time travel? Clara shrugs. Temporal drift, memory syncing, parallel nostalgia loops. Same thing. Giulietta puts her hand down. I'm going to scream into a pillow later. Agnes turns serious. You'll be sent to the last uncorrupted memory strand of your grandmother's Christmas past. Somewhere deep inside, the real Lord still exists, but you'll only have one shot to find her before the corruption closes the loop. Clara taps a snow globe on her belt. It pulses. A swirl of fog fills the air, and slowly an image forms. A Christmas tree, old-fashioned, real candles, handmade ornaments, a much younger Granny Lourdes laughing beside a fireplace. She was 17 here, Clara says, still in training, still human. You step closer to the swirling vision. The image blinks. You see something move in the background, a shadow. It's not part of the memory, it's watching her, watching you. Clara whispers, we're not the only ones with access to her past. You feel the pull now, a deep ache in your chest. Somewhere in that memory, your grandmother is still herself. Somewhere she's waiting for you to find her. You look at Giulietta. She nods. Clara tosses the snow globe in the air, and the world goes white. You land on cobblestone. Hard. The snow is different here. Realer somehow. Each flake slow, specific, like it's been personally assigned to fall just so. You blink, eyes adjusting to a world that looks like it's been painted in candlelight. The air is sharper, smells like pine and soot and old secrets. You're standing on the edge of a small village square lit only by lanterns, the kind of place where carolers don't know they're creepy yet. In the distance, a bell tower strikes twice. You check your wrist instinctively. No watch, no phone. Just a sleigh bell charm blinking faintly. Giulietta stumbles in beside you, landing in a snowbank. She groans. I thought we were going into a memory, not through a snow globe. You help her up. Clara's already on her feet, scanning the surroundings with military focus. This is it, she says. 1923, rural Bavaria. Giulietta blinks. I thought Granny was born in Brazil. She was, Clara replies, but she trained here. You frown. You're telling me my grandmother studied Christmas magics in secret Germany? Clara nods like that's the most reasonable sentence ever spoken. This was the last generation before the grandmothers went global. The circle didn't exist yet. Just apprentices, rituals, and prototype candy canes that doubled as lockpicks. You're about to ask what that even means when you hear it. Music, faint. A lullaby humming through the snow. You follow it around the bend, through an alley dusted with powdered sugar snow, past a bakery that smells like almond and something vaguely haunted. There, in the center of a courtyard, lit by a single oil lamp, is your grandmother, but younger. 17 exactly, like Clara said. Long dark braids, wool coat, mittens that don't match. She's sitting cross-legged on a wooden crate, fixing what looks like a music box. She doesn't see you. Yet. Clara raises a hand. Don't approach. Not yet. Giulietta whispers, she looks normal. And she does. Until you look closer. There's something off about the shadows behind her. They flicker strangely. Move when she doesn't. Clara sees it too. She mutters something under her breath and pulls a mirror from her coat. Yup, she says. We've got a lurker. You whisper, what's a lurker? A memory parasite, she replies, calmly loading what looks like a gingerbread shuriken into a handheld launcher. Drawn to fractured timelines. They nest in guilt, regret, and unresolved emotion. If it anchors, it rewrites. You glance at young lords. She's humming to herself. Do they know they're infected? Clara doesn't answer. Instead, she fires. The gingerbread disc spins through the air, hits the shadow and passes right through it. It doesn't vanish, it grows. Giulietta gasps. The shadow peels off the wall, stretching upward. No face, no limbs, just a silhouette made of smoke and static. It drifts toward young lords like it's being fed. She's not just the host, Clara says grimly. She's the gateway. The shadow begins to whisper. Not words, not yet. Just impressions. You feel them in your gut. She failed. She lied. She let someone down. You want to run. But then you see it. Her expression changes. Young lord stiffens. Her eyes glaze over. The music box slips from her hands and shatters on the ground. The memory is starting to rot. Clara hisses. If it completes the overwrite, this strand collapses. She becomes the version Victor built. You step forward. What do we do? Giulietta grabs your arm. You can't just run in. But you already are. You don't know why. It's not bravery. It's something deeper, something ancient. Because even if she's been manipulated, twisted, rewritten, she's still your grandmother. You cross the courtyard, snow crunching underfoot. The lurker turns to you. It doesn't attack. It just shifts, mirroring your shape. You see yourself but older, colder, with empty eyes. It speaks, your voice but wrong. She abandoned you. You flinch. She chose the mission over the memory. She let herself forget who she was. Behind the lurker, Lords trembles. You kneel beside her. Hey. She doesn't react. The lurker leans closer. You never mattered. Just the job. Just the system. You take her hand. It's ice cold. Lords, you whisper. She's not real, the lurker hisses. She was real, you say, before all this. You reach into your pocket, the brooch. You didn't realize you still had it. It pulses gently, like it recognizes this place. You hold it up. The lurker recoils, but not from pain, from memory. It knows this symbol. And that's when you feel it. Your grandmother's hand tightens around yours, just slightly, enough. Her lips part. Not much. Just enough to whisper a name. Your name. The lurker howls. Reality shakes. The snow lifts like a wave. Giulietta screams behind you. Clara yells, "Hold the connection!" You press the brooch to Lords' chest. "Come back!" The shadow tries to dive forward, but it's too late. The moment breaks. The memory glows. White, gold, warm. And then silence. You're on your knees, holding her. Not the 17-year-old, the one you remember. Lords, eyes clear, breath steady. She smiles. "I knew you'd find me." Behind you, Clara speaks softly. The lurker's gone, but Victor's still out there. Giulietta mutters, "We just broke into 1923 to rescue a grandma from her own corrupted nostalgia loop. And that's not even the weirdest part of my week." You help Lords to her feet. She's still weak, but present. You ask her, "Do you remember what he took?" She nods and says just 2 words. "The list." Clara freezes. "The original naughty, nice list?" Lords doesn't blink. He's rewriting it. You feel your stomach drop, because if that's true, no one is safe, not even the good kids. You're back in the war room. The snow globe drops from Clara's hand, shattering into light. Time reasserts itself with a hiss, like reality exhaling. Monitors flicker back to life, and the circle of grandmothers looks up in unison as Lord steps forward, older again but different now, awake, alive, and furious. Agnes crosses the room fast, wraps Lords in a hug that lasts only a second, then pulls away and nods to the others. She's back. Initiate containment reversal. Unroll timeline 7. Lord straightens her collar. No, too late. Victor already injected himself into the list. If we try to overwrite it now, we risk destabilizing every known tradition. Giulietta groans. Why does everything sound like the Matrix but smell like cinnamon? You barely hear her, because your mind's spinning on one word, the list. You turn to Clara. What happens if Victor controls it? She doesn't answer right away. Just pulls up a screen filled with cascading names, millions, scrolling like credits after a very long movie. This isn't just who's been naughty or nice, she explains. The list is predictive. It maps behavior patterns, emotional potential, even latent empathy. It's not about judging the past, it's about engineering the future. Giulietta steps beside you. So if Victor rewrites it? Clara nods grimly. He could decide who deserves joy, who gets forgiveness, who grows up cynical. He could manipulate the emotional blueprint of an entire generation. The room falls silent. Then Lord speaks. There's a failsafe. Everyone looks at her. She reaches into her coat, pulls out something wrapped in a crocheted handkerchief, unfolds it carefully. Inside, a silver bell. Not sleigh-shaped, not cute. This one is angular, geometric, covered in runes that shimmer slightly even under artificial light. Agnes takes a step back. You kept the restoration bell. Lords shrugs. Wasn't going to leave it with the Canadians. Giulietta leans in. What does it do? Lords turns to you. It lets one person enter the core of the list. Not just the data, the soul of it. The original intention, joy, wonder, balance. But only someone unmarked, unlisted. You frown. That's not possible. Everyone's on the list, right? Agnes nods. Except those born inside the window. You blink. What window? Clara answers, eyes locked on the monitor. Between midnight and 12:01 a.m. on Christmas morning, the list doesn't see them until their first conscious Christmas. They're invisible. Giulietta gasps. You were born at 12:03. You remember the story. Your parents always joked about it. How you were just early enough to ruin their New Year plans. Lords nods. You're the only one who can enter without triggering the defenses. You don't know what to say. Clara does. She steps up and places a small device around your wrist. It clicks shut. The sleigh bell charm begins to glow. This will guide you. You'll need to pass 3 gates inside the core, each one built from a piece of the original Christmas archetype. She taps the screen. A 3D map unfurls. Gate 1, the ghost of regret. Gate 2, the gift unwrapped. Gate 3, the empty chair. Lords holds the silver bell up to your ear. You don't hear a jingle. You hear voices. Your mother reading a book aloud. Your dad badly humming carols. Your grandmother humming while folding blankets. A version of Christmas that doesn't exist anymore but still lives in you. You swallow hard. Okay, let's do it. Lords rings the bell. Not a sound in the room. But the floor beneath you shifts. You feel the air ripple, the lights flicker, and the war room vanishes. You're standing in snow again, but it's different. Heavier, older, and darker. The sky above isn't the soft blue of morning or the inky black of midnight. It's grey, dusty. Like an old VHS paused too long. You're in a field, dead trees all around. A single wooden sign stands crooked in the snow, burned into the wood. Gate 1. The ghost of regret. Behind you, silence. Ahead, a trail lit by broken ornaments and flickering fairy lights nailed into the trees like warning signs. Giulietta's voice crackles through your sleigh bell bracelet. We're with you. Don't stop moving. You breathe in. The air tastes like forgotten birthdays. You walk, and that's when you hear it. Footsteps. Behind you, not Clara, not Giulietta, not even Victor. You turn and see yourself, but older, tired, carrying a box labeled, "Could have been." He doesn't speak, just opens the box. Inside, photos that never happened, friends you never made, smiles you forgot, moments you skipped because you thought you had time. Your voice shakes. What is this? The other you looks up. This is everything you let go of, in the name of moving forward. The first gate isn't locked. It's waiting. And the only way through, Ari, is to forgive yourself. You stand there facing the older version of yourself, holding that box of aching timelines. The wind picks up, not harsh, but persistent. It whistles through the dead branches, tugging at your coat like it's trying to pull you backward. The sky doesn't move. It just stares down, heavy and unmoved, like it's seen 1,000 kids try and fail this part. The other you kneels, setting the box down carefully in the snow. You glance inside again. It's not just photos. There's a sock you never wore because it didn't match, a crumpled drawing you threw away before showing anyone, a half-finished letter to a friend you never mailed. These aren't disasters. They're small, sharp, and they sting more than the big stuff. You whisper, "What do you want from me?" The other you smiles gently. "I don't want anything." You blink. He adds, "That's the point. I'm not a threat. I'm a threshold." Behind him, the dead trees seem to lean in. You crouch beside the box, pick up the drawing. It's rough, scribbled, crayon heavy. It's a picture of your grandmother, labeled Best Lady, drawn when you were maybe 5. Her nose is too big. Her eyes are purple. She's holding what appears to be either a pie or a flying saucer. You don't remember throwing this out, but you must have, because here it is. You hold it to your chest. It hurts in a weird way, like pulling out a splinter that's been there so long you forgot it wasn't part of you. A warm light starts to glow from the box. The wind stops. The trees stop whispering. The other you nods. You're through. You look up. He's gone. The box is gone. And ahead of you, the trees part on their own, revealing a stone arch carved with ivy and sleigh bells. Above it, in cursive flame, Gate 2. The gift unwrapped. You step through. The world shifts again. Now you're in a living room, not yours, not anyone's, just Christmas, generic, dreamlike. It smells like cinnamon and pine and static electricity. The tree sparkles unnaturally. The fireplace is on a loop, 5 seconds of flame, over and over. In the middle of the room is a table. One object sits on it, wrapped in red paper, no bow, no tag, just waiting. Clara's voice comes through the bracelet again, quieter this time. "You made it through Gate 1. Now comes the real test." Julieta adds, "You're doing amazing. You've passed emotional self-reflection and entered existential abstraction. I think that makes you legally an adult in Finland." You approach the table. The box pulses faintly. You reach out. Stop. Because you know what this is. This is the thing you always wanted. You don't know how, but you know. You touch the box. Memories bloom in your chest like sudden fireworks. You're 5, begging for a toy that sold out in an hour. You're 8, asking for a letter from someone who never wrote back. You're 10, just hoping for one Christmas that didn't feel like it skipped over you. This is that thing. Clara whispers, "Be careful." Gate 2 tests the depth of desire. If you unwrap it and accept it, you're bound to the gift. You can't move on. You'll stay here forever. You hesitate. Your hand is on the ribbon, not tied, just folded. It would be so easy, so warm. You could feel full for once, but you take a step back. The box does not like that. It shudders. The room dims. The fireplace glitches. Julieta's voice breaks through static. You have to choose want or need. Pick need. You look around. There's no exit. Just this room. Just this box. And then you remember. Something Granny Lourdes once told you when you were too young to understand. The best gifts don't fill you, they free you. You say it out loud. The box cracks. A line down the center. The red paper turns to ash. Inside, nothing. Just light. And inside that light, something begins to take shape. Not a toy, not a letter, not an object at all. It's a moment, a memory. You, Lourdes, laughing in a kitchen, baking cookies, completely out of rhythm with the Christmas music playing in the background. No expectations, no pressure, just sugar and joy. You smile. The light wraps around you, and the room dissolves. You're standing in a hallway now, empty, except for one thing. A chair, at the end of the hall, facing away, wooden, worn, waiting, and you know, without being told, Gate 3. The empty chair. This one doesn't have a title card. This one doesn't need one. You walk. The hallway stretches. Photos line the walls. Scenes from Christmases you do remember. Ones you don't. Some real. Some reimagined. All of them have one thing in common. There's always a chair in the corner, and someone is always missing from it. You reach the end, place a hand on the back of the chair, and feel it. The ache of every Christmas, where someone wasn't there. Because they left. Because they forgot. Because they couldn't stay. This is grief's gate, and it doesn't want to be passed. Clara's voice cuts in again. We can't follow you here. This is the part that only you can sit through. You take a breath, pull the chair around, and sit. At first, nothing happens. Then, a hand touches your shoulder. Familiar. You don't turn. You don't look. You don't have to. It's all of them. Everyone you've missed. Not as ghosts, not as holograms. Just presence. You breathe out. You don't cry, not this time. You whisper, I remember. The hallway glows and opens. Beyond it, a door, golden, simple, etched with a single word, list. You walk through. The door creaks open, not with the grandeur of destiny, but the quiet hesitation of memory. Beyond it, a cathedral of silence, not a church, not holy in the traditional sense. But the architecture feels sacred. Arched ceilings spun from gold ribbon, walls stitched with parchment and childhood handwriting, a floor tiled in overlapping footprints. This isn't just the core of the list. This is the list, living, breathing, infinite. Columns rise around you, carved not from stone but from intention. Every kid who ever hoped, every parent who ever tried, every moment of awe that flared, flickered, and either became tradition or was lost. The light here isn't light. It's nostalgia wrapped in warmth, and at the very center of it all, young stands Victor. But he's not alone. He's wearing someone or something. It's your grandmother, but not really. A hollow version. Like her face, perfectly sculpted, but made of snow that won't melt. He turns, smiles, calm. I knew you'd make it. You were always the variable I couldn't code for. He gestures to the infinite spires of names. I built this, he says, refined it. Streamlined the chaos of sentimentality into a flawless algorithm. No more grey areas, no more unfair socks for good kids or glitter dolls for brats. Precision, logic, predictability. Julietta's voice whispers through your bracelet. This guy gives me strong divorced uncle who reads Jordan Peterson energy. You almost laugh. Victor hears her too, smiles. I don't hate Christmas, he says, stepping forward, dragging the hollow lords beside him. I love it. I loved it too much. And it broke me. The randomness, the inconsistency, the heartbreak. He stops beside a glowing pillar. Your name hovers there. Still undecided. Victor taps it. You should have been cold this year, distant. Your grandmother lost herself. You were ignored. That should have marked you. He glares, but you broke protocol. You step toward him, not afraid, not anymore. You don't understand Christmas, you say softly. He raises an eyebrow. Please, enlighten me. You walk past pillars of names glowing green for nice, red for naughty, and something new, grey, dozens, hundreds, thousands of them. Christmas isn't about judgment, you say. It's not about fairness. It's about grace. It's about people doing their best with what they have. You stop in front of the hollow lords. Her eyes are blank, but her hands twitch. Even when they mess up, you whisper. Even when they lose themselves. Victor scoffs. Grace is chaos in a sweater. You smile. It's also the reason you're not standing here alone. You hold out the brooch, the one she gave up, the one she never stopped carrying in her heart. You pin it to the hollow version of her. At first, nothing. Then, a spark. Like the very first match ever struck. She gasps. Not dramatic, not cinematic, just enough to return. Her eyes blink once, twice. Then they focus and lock on you. She whispers your name. Victor stumbles back. No, Lord steps forward. No more rewriting. She raises her hand. The cathedral trembles. Names flicker back into gold. Red dissolves. Green shines. The grey fades into warmth. Victor grabs at the console near him, but the interface is melting. Candy cane code liquefying. Gingerbread frameworks collapsing like sandcastles in rain. You look him in the eyes. What did Christmas give you that you never forgave? He stares at you. No words. Just a flicker of something. Loneliness. Loss. An empty chair in his own memory. He opens his mouth to answer, but he's already gone. Not dead, not vanished. Just released. Like his code had nowhere left to anchor. Clara's voice returns in your ear. System restored. Core integrity at 100%. We've got you. Julieta chimes in. Please say that means you didn't get brainwashed again. You smile. Lourdes takes your hand, and together you walk out. The cathedral breathes once more. Behind you, the list begins to sing, not with music, but with laughter. Moments. The unwrapping of a gift that isn't perfect, but is right. The snow falling just because someone hoped it would. The world remembering for 1 second how to be kind. You open your eyes, and you're back. Home. Not the war room. Not the memory strand. Not the core. Just your living room. The sun hasn't risen yet, but there's a glow outside your window. Soft, gold. The kind of light that only shows up on Christmas morning. Her Julieta is asleep on the couch, one arm flopped over her face, the other clutching an empty mug labeled World's Okayest Sister. You blink. Was it real? Did it happen? Then you hear it. A faint jingle. Not bells. The bell. You turn. And there she is, Granny Lourdes, in her flannel robe, slippers, hair in rollers, mug of coffee steaming in one hand, and the faintest shimmer of silver light dancing around her brooch. She raises an eyebrow. Well, she says, how was your night? You just stare. Because how do you explain time travel through memory, existential gatekeeping, and a shadow version of yourself holding a box of regrets? Julieta stirs, groggy. Did I dream a grandma fight club, or... Lourdes grins, then winks, and everything floods back. The circle, Victor, the list, the empty chair. You sit up. Is it over? Lourdes sips her coffee. For now. You frown. What does that mean? She sits beside you, not in a rush, like someone who has waited decades to have this conversation. I've touched the core, seen behind the curtain. That changes things. You nod slowly. So now I'm... What, like you? Lourdes chuckles. Not quite. But you're marked. That bell around your wrist, it's not just a tracker. It's a key. You glance down. The charm is still there, still glowing. Julieta stretches. So are we going to pretend that none of this happened, or are we finally admitting that the grandmothers of this town are basically Yule-powered spies? Lourdes shrugs. Not spies. Curators. She points to the window. Outside, the street is glowing. Not just lights. Movement. Across the neighborhood, grandmothers emerge from houses in synchronized rhythm. Some push carts. Others lift crates. All wear the same brooch. The circle. You and Julieta press your faces to the window as the silent operation unfolds. On your porch, a small envelope appears. You rush outside. Pick it up. It's addressed to you. Handwritten. Inside, a single card. The list is restored. Your memory is permanent. Stand by for recruitment. Below it, one line. A question. Would you change the morning? If you could. Julieta reads it over your shoulder, whispers, would you? You don't answer, not yet, because something catches your eye. At the end of the street, a girl is standing alone. Midnight blue pajamas, sleigh bell bracelet. Clara. She meets your eyes, nods once, then vanishes into the fog. Lourdes joins you on the porch, hands you a plate of cookies. I added extra nutmeg this year. You take one, bite. It's perfect, and for the first time in days, maybe weeks, you feel something heavy slide off your chest. You don't know if it was grief, confusion, or the pressure to figure it all out. But it's gone. Giulietta is inside, putting records on. Lourdes hums softly beside you, and down the street, more kids are waking up. Some early, some late. Each one perfectly timed. You smile. And finally understand. You didn't stop Christmas from being rewritten. You reminded it why it was written in the first place. The morning light turns the snow gold, and somewhere beneath it, the truth sleeps quietly, wrapped in memory, waiting for next year. The next morning feels almost normal. Almost. The snow has settled like powdered sugar across the sidewalks. The wreaths on every door tilt ever so slightly in the exact same direction, clockwise 12 degrees, like someone aligned them overnight. Children's voices echo faintly down the street, the kind of high-pitched chaos that only comes from sugar-fueled joy and fully charged gift batteries. Inside your house, wrapping paper litters the floor like the aftermath of a particularly festive storm. You step over it barefoot, dodging toy fragments and cookie crumbs, moving toward the kitchen with one thing in mind: answers. Lourdes is there already, making waffles. Naturally, the aroma is devastatingly comforting. You slide into a chair at the table, resting your arms on the wood. The silver bell on your wrist doesn't glow anymore, but it's still warm, still present. You didn't say anything last night, you say. Lourdes flips a waffle onto a plate, sets it in front of you, then finally sits across the table. Her robe is navy blue this morning. No embroidery, no brooch. Because nothing I could say would sound real enough. You'd think I was still lying. You nod slowly. You weren't, though. No, she says. I wasn't. Giulietta wanders in, yawning, still wearing her tactical pajamas. Her hair looks like she spent the night wrestling invisible forces of darkness. She slumps into the chair beside you, grabs half your waffle and mumbles something about dairy-free justice. You let her eat it. Lourdes pours syrup. Now that you've both seen behind the curtain, she says carefully, there's a choice to make. You look up. Clara's card. That handwritten question. Would you change the morning if you could? Lourdes continues. Christmas morning is the anchor point. We manipulate it because it's where people believe magic is still possible, where hope regenerates. But that belief, it's fragile. That's why we recruit carefully, quietly. Giulietta raises a brow. So what happens if we say no? You forget everything, Lourdes replies. The war room, the list. Clara, Victor, gone. You frown. But wouldn't that undo everything we did? She shakes her head. The memory goes, not the effect. The changes you made stick. The list is safe. The core is whole. But you return to ordinary. Until next year. Giulietta leans back in her chair. That sounds like a trap. Every tradition is, Lourdes says gently. But some are worth the risk. You sit in silence for a moment. The waffle is warm. Your sister's here. Your grandmother is herself again. You feel good, but also haunted. You remember the empty chair, the ghost of regret, the way the gift unwrapped shimmered with your most personal hopes. You don't want to forget. But you also don't know what remembering might cost. Before you can respond, a knock comes at the door. 3 short, 2 long, 3 short again. Lourdes freezes. That's not protocol. You're already standing, opening the door. Outside stands a boy, roughly your age. Wide eyes, wind-chapped cheeks. He's not wearing any winter gear, no hat, no gloves. His hair is damp, his shoes untied. He holds a box, wrapped in brown paper. No bow, no label. Just one word scrawled in charcoal. Return. You step aside. He walks in silent, hands the box to Lourdes. She hesitates. Giulietta stands slowly, eyes narrowing. What is that? Lourdes shakes her head. I don't know. You open the box. Inside, a snow globe, shattered, but still glowing. Within the shards, a flickering image. Victor, but not like before. He's younger, gentler, and he's crying. You all watch in stunned silence as the image plays. Victor kneeling beside a fireplace, an empty stocking, a crumpled letter to Santa beside him. He's maybe 12, alone, completely, achingly alone. The boy who delivered the box turns to you, says only one thing. He never left. Then vanishes. Not runs, not walks. Just gone. Giulietta breathes out sharply. Okay, we officially have a ghost subplot now. Lourdes closes the box slowly. The core was cleansed, she murmurs, but he's still somewhere in the drift. You touch the edge of the snow globe. It pulses, soft, sad, alive. And in that moment, you realize something no one has said out loud. This isn't over. Victor was never trying to destroy Christmas. He was trying to rewind it, fix something that broke long ago. And in doing so, he almost shattered everything. But something else happened. He left a thread, a breadcrumb trail. And now, he's asking you to find him. You turn to Lourdes. What happens if we say yes? She doesn't blink. Then you join the circle. Giulietta sits up straighter. Wait, we? As in both of us? You both passed the tests, different gates, same courage. Giulietta looks at you, then at Lourdes, then down at her syrup-smeared plate, and says, okay, but I want an official patch, like a cool embroidered one, none of that iron-on garbage. You grin, Lourdes laughs. Deal. She reaches into her coat and pulls out 2 identical pouches. Inside each, a patch, circular, dark green, outlined in silver thread. In the center, a sleigh bell, cracked but still ringing. Around the edge, embroidered words. The morning must be guarded. Lourdes looks at both of you, proud, tired, but smiling. You'll start training in January, with Clara. You raise your eyebrows. She's 12. She's also technically a level 5 tactician, Lourdes says. Don't let the height fool you. Giulietta mutters, I'm going to lose my mind if she makes me do morning drills. You take your patch, hold it in your hands, feel its weight. Not just fabric, responsibility. Lourdes finishes her coffee, stands and moves to the window. Outside the snow is still falling, but slower now, measured, as if waiting. She speaks without turning around. You've joined something older than cities, bigger than stories. Christmas morning doesn't just happen, it's made. And from this day forward, she turns to face you. You help make it. The clock strikes 8 a.m. The neighborhood wakes. The world moves on. And upstairs, the silver bell on your wrist glows once, then fades into silence. For now. It's January 12th, or so the calendar says, but outside your window, the snow hasn't melted, the lights on the houses haven't come down, and the neighbor across the street is still inflating his 12-foot Santa every morning at 6:03 a.m. sharp. Something's wrong. The holiday isn't ending. Not slowly, not softly. It's refusing. Giulietta drops into the kitchen chair beside you, holding her phone like it's radioactive. Time Hop says this photo's from 2 years ago today, she says, turning the screen toward you. But I took it yesterday. You look, it's real. You remember her taking it. Wearing the same hoodie, same fog on the glass, same dust pattern on the counter, only the metadata says 2023, this is 2025. You don't even blink anymore. Weird is normal now. Lourdes enters the kitchen wearing what looks like a battle kimono made from old Christmas tablecloths. She's holding a steaming cup of bone broth and reading something on a scroll made of ribbon. She doesn't say, good morning. She says, we're slipping. You ask, into what? She looks up. The calendar war. You don't ask for clarification, because you already know she's not speaking in metaphors. Giulietta groans. Can't we go back to secret bunkers and emotionally charged memory missions? Lourdes unfurls the ribbon scroll. Across the fabric, names, dates, and markings that flicker in and out like bad reception. She taps February. Missing? She taps March. Unstable. Then she taps January. Occupied. Clara's voice crackles through the bell bracelet on your wrist. Recruit. You need to suit up. A breach opened near the mall. A time fracture. We've got jack-o'-lanterns attacking a Macy's display. Repeat. Halloween is trying to overwrite January. Giulietta spits her orange juice. I knew Halloween would be first. You're already moving. Boots, jacket, patch. The sleigh bell bracelet lights up, syncing with Clara's transmission. Lourdes hands you a peppermint-coated flare and a charm grenade shaped like a snowflake. You're not going to hold the line, she says. You're going to find out who erased the calendar. You pause in the doorway. Why now? Lourdes' face darkens. Because someone's stolen the master wheel. Giulietta gasps. You turn. What's that? Lourdes whispers. It's the axis that spins the seasons, the artifact that turns the year. If it's out of sync, she doesn't finish. She doesn't have to. You run. The sky is wrong when you reach the mall. It flickers. Not blue, not grey, but segmented. One part of the parking lot is lit by Christmas light. Another section, pure autumn dusk. And the far corner, red, crimson, velvet, bleeding roses. Valentine's Day, early. You step through the doors. The mall is chaos. Skeletons wielding coupon books battle cardboard cupids armed with heart-shaped lollipops. A Santa mannequin is screaming in reverse. The fountain is spraying snow and rose petals in alternating bursts. Clara appears beside you, ducking a flying turkey leg. We've got factions in open rebellion, she yells. The year is no longer linear, time's collapsing into thematic clusters. You pull the candy cane baton from your belt. Giulietta follows, grumbling, so I can't just pick a lane and binge Gilmore Girls until Easter. Clara tosses her a glitter bomb. No. You press forward. In the central atrium, the food court is split in thirds. One corner, a haunted hayride setup, reeking of pumpkin spice and dry leaves. Another, hearts, violins and chocolate fountains overflowing. The last, a snowy forest flickering like a dying memory of December. And in the middle, a pedestal, where the master wheel should be, empty. Clara swears under her breath. We were too late. A figure steps forward, tall, wrapped in tinsel like armor, their face hidden beneath a clock mask, one hand holding a scythe made of melted chocolate and snow. Their voice echoes through the atrium like a church bell choked on nostalgia. Chrononeutrality is dead. The holidays will no longer wait their turn. Giulietta whispers, "Oh great, a seasonal anarchist." You ask, "Who are you?" The figure doesn't answer, but their mask flickers. Shows a dozen faces, Santa, Cupid, a skeleton in a pilgrim hat, an Easter bunny with blood on its paws. Then your own face, and it says, "The year belongs to everyone." It raises the scythe, the holidays charge. You raise your charm grenade, and throw. Light explodes. Reality bends, but nothing resets. Because this isn't a glitch. This is a war, and you're now part of it. You hit the tile floor hard, skidding past an overturned kiosk of discounted mistletoe and landing squarely in a puddle of peppermint hot chocolate. Not yours, not anyone's. Just there, conjured by seasonal bleed. Clara's voice booms in your ear. Sectors 4 and 6 are compromised. Valentine's agents have breached the snack court. Repeat, Cupid has entered the building. You scramble to your feet. In front of you, 4 masked figures, dressed in velvety red. Their armor is ornate, stitched from plush heart pillows and wedding aisle leftovers. Their weapons? Crossbows, miniature, glittery, deadly. The leader steps forward. Pink feathers fall from his shoulder pads as he lowers his mask. He's beautiful, ridiculously so. Cheekbones sharp enough to cut fondant. Eyes like sad songs on vintage records. He's everything the early 2000s thought romance should be. And then he speaks. My name is Rosier, Valentine's 5th house. We don't want to fight you. Giulietta steps beside you, gripping a snow globe mace she stole from a display window. Too late for that, Cupid reject. Rosier tilts his head, just slightly. We're not here for chaos. We're here for justice. You glance at the mall's shattered calendar clock above the atrium. Time is twitching again. One half reads January 13th. The other, February 2nd. You ask carefully, what kind of justice? Rosier points to the empty pedestal where the master wheel once sat. You've had control too long. We haven't, you snap. We're new, we didn't build this. You inherited it, he says. The circle, the codes, the gatekeeping. Valentine's Day hasn't been updated since 1997. Our symbols are stale, our traditions hijacked by corporations. We're nothing but discount chocolate and breakups in memes. Clara crackles over the comms. Don't listen to him. The Valentine houses want access to rewrite emotional memory. That's nuclear-grade nostalgia. If they get to the wheel, they can make every heartbreak feel earned. Every fake love story feel real. You look back at Rosier. He doesn't blink. The calendar was built to isolate us, to keep us in cages, one day each. Some not even that. He steps forward. I'm not here to take your holiday. I'm here to unify them, to end the time boxing. Let traditions merge. Let hearts beat through Halloween. Let snow fall in July. Julieta whispers, that's literally how climate change starts. You whisper, he's not wrong about being ignored. And then you see it. Behind Rosier's poetic monologue, behind the velvet, a flicker, a shadow. Someone else is watching, from the Valentine side. Someone not part of Rosier's team. You squint. No face. Just a reflection. Too smooth. Too precise. It's recording, not observing. Recording. And that's when it hits you. This isn't just about rebellion. It's about a broadcast. Clara cuts in again, voice tense now. We've traced the master wheel signal. It's been moved outside the seasonal spectrum. It's broadcasting from an unmarked domain. Julieta asks, unmarked as in? Unaligned. No holiday. No memory anchors. Just void. Your stomach turns, because you know what that means. Someone or something is trying to erase the calendar entirely, and Valentine's uprising. It's a distraction. You raise your hands, not to surrender, to stop Rosier. Who's behind you? Rosier falters just slightly. I represent, no, not Valentine, not your house, behind you. Who's feeding you lines? Who's filming this speech? Who's giving you a narrative? Rosier's eyes flicker. He doesn't answer. Behind him, the reflection glitches, and then shatters. Out steps a figure, dressed in matte black. No emblem, no patch, no color, just a smile, thin, knowing. He speaks. I've been called many things. Black Friday, Cyber Monday, seasonal drift. He shrugs. But you can call me Gap. The air chills. Even Clara goes silent on the line. Gap walks forward, hands behind his back. No origin, no symbolism, no family dinners or nostalgia loops, just pure consumption. No meaning, only momentum. Julieta whispers, I knew it. He's corporate. Gap continues, eyes on you. You fight for tradition. They fight for freedom. But both of you miss the point. It was never about what the calendar contained. It was about what it controlled. He taps the empty pedestal, and it responds. A low hum, a pulse, a countdown. Rosier spins. You said we'd restore the calendar. Gap smiles. I said you'd be remembered, not honored. Suddenly, the pedestal emits a shockwave. Valentine's agents collapse. Clara screams through the comm. It's not a wheel anymore, it's a weapon. He's converting the seasons into energy. If he finishes the cycle... You don't let her finish. You run, straight toward the pedestal. Gap doesn't move. He just watches. Calm, like he's already won. The platform glows beneath your feet, each tile a month, flickering January, October, April, December. Out of sync. One wrong step, and you'll phase into temporal error. But you know what to do. You remember Lords' words. The morning must be guarded. You leap. Land square on December. The tile stabilizes. The wheel jolts. Gap's eyes narrow. Interesting. You raise the sleigh bell bracelet. Not as a weapon, as a key. The pedestal begins to unlock. Rosier looks up from the floor, dazed. You still think you can stop him? No, you say. I think we can. You toss him your backup bell. He catches it instinctively, and for the first time, you see doubt in his eyes replaced with something dangerous. Hope. Gap watches, unimpressed. You can't unite chaos and sentiment. You smile. Watch us. You slam your bell into the heart of the pedestal. The calendar erupts, not in fire, in memory, a flood of smells, sounds, colors from every season. Mothers hanging up valentines, kids carving pumpkins, families clinking cider mugs under fireworks, snowball fights and awkward Easter photos, everything colliding, everything returning. Gap tries to step back, but the light wraps around him, forces him to feel, to remember, and that's what he never trained for. The light doesn't burn, it blooms. It pours out of the pedestal like liquid memory, not fire but feeling, flooding the atrium with every warm morning, awkward celebration, and imperfect but honest tradition that's ever existed. The wheel pulses like a beating heart, rediscovering its rhythm. Gap screams, not in pain, in recognition. You didn't destroy him. You made him remember. The light tears through his matte black coat, revealing flashes beneath, of mall Santa's clearance aisles, parents scanning barcodes at midnight, old New Year's banners curling in the corners of forgotten storage units. Gap isn't just a rogue agent. He's a byproduct of everything people forgot the meaning of, and you just hit him with the full force of what he used to be. He stumbles, falls, and vanishes. Not in a blaze, not in a bang, just absence, erased by presence. Rosier drops the sleigh bell you tossed him. It clinks on the tile, echoing like a punctuation mark. He kneels in the glittering wreckage of the seasonal battlefield, surrounded by blinking heart-shaped arrows, candy canes bent like sickles, and half-melted chocolate eggs no one summoned. You extend a hand, he takes it. Not out of loyalty, out of exhaustion. Clara breaks through the West Wing doors with a tactical grandmother unit behind her. They're wearing combat cardigans and riot-control knitting needles. "You made contact," Clara says. Julieta steps in, brushing snow off her sleeves. "You missed Gap. You missed the pedestal. You really missed the haunted Cupid love speech. But yeah, we made contact." Clara eyes the wreckage. The pedestal now glows calmly, spinning once more. The months align. January fades into February with a sigh of relief. A grandmother to Clara's left nods. Temporal sync re-established. But Clara doesn't relax, not yet. "Gap didn't start this," she mutters. "He was only the opening note." You turn to her. "What do you mean?" She turns her tablet toward you. On the screen, a timeline. Your timeline. It's covered in red flags. Not past, future. We just intercepted chatter from unaligned zones. There's a disturbance coming from the in-between days. You frown. The what? Lords steps forward from behind the unit, her cardigan singed but her eyes sharp. The unclaimed. You blink. The days that aren't holidays? Lords nods. The ones that don't belong to anyone. January 11th, August 3rd, April 17th. Gaps in the grid. Days too ordinary to be remembered, too normal to be celebrated. Days where time folds over itself. Julieta squints. "So, boring days are about to attack?" Lords sighs. "No, forgotten days." That's when the sky cracks. Not thunder, not lightning, static. Like someone tuning a broken antenna through the clouds. Clara yells, "It's already started." Outside the mall, reality is stuttering. The light blinks in and out like someone flipping through channels. 1 second, the parking lot is clean. Next, it's flooded with discarded party hats and wilted tulips. Then it's covered in Valentine fog. Then nothing. Then everything. The world is glitching, not with chaos, with absence. You run outside with the others. Cars are frozen mid-turn. People are paused mid-sentence. Even the wind holds still. The only thing moving is a single paper calendar floating gently through the air. It lands at your feet. You pick it up. It's blank. No months, no days, just 12 empty squares. And in the middle, scrawled in something too dark to be ink. "We remember being forgotten," Julieta mutters. "Okay, that's creepy." Clara taps her bracelet. A hologram glows. Time stamps are degrading. Time's unraveling between marked days. If we don't contain this, Lords interrupts, they'll erase the calendar. You look around, nothing's happening, but everything is fading. Shadows without sources, reflections without mirrors, objects half there, sound growing fainter. You feel it in your chest, the weightlessness of being overlooked. The in-between days aren't attacking, they're withdrawing and pulling everything with them. You whisper, "What do we do?" Clara answers without hesitation, "We go in." You stare at her. In where? Clara lifts a small silver pendant from her neck, turns it. The world trembles, and a door appears, not a real one. A date, hung in the air like a paused episode. February 29th. You blink. But that's not... It is, she says, a day that exists only when permission is granted, a day born from math, a placeholder, a passage. She opens the door, and behind it, grey, nothingness, static made solid. She turns to you and Giulietta. You've been inside the list. You've touched the wheel. You're the only ones who felt what makes time human. Lords places a hand on your shoulder. If you go through, you won't see time. You'll feel it. It'll try to forget you before you forget yourself. Giulietta grabs your hand. No way I'm letting you get unexisted alone. You squeeze back. Let's do it. Together you step through the leap day gate. The moment you cross, it closes behind you with a soft click. Inside, nothing. No floor, no sky, no temperature, just emotion, bleached of detail. It's a room made of sighs. Of maybe later and not today. Of promises you didn't know you broke. You whisper into the nothing, "Is anyone here?" Silence. Then, a voice. From everywhere and nowhere. "We were the days between everything you thought mattered." Another voice, younger. "You skipped us. You erased us. You called us boring." Another. "Now, you don't get to leave." Then the fog begins to rise. Figures form, dozens, hundreds, all made of paper, calendars folded into human shapes. Blank spaces where faces should be, and every single one is holding a pen. Giulietta mutters, "Okay, this is officially the worst field trip ever." You take one step forward and say, "You were never nothing." The pen humans tilt their heads. You continue. "You were the breath between holidays, the day after magic, the space where people just lived. You mattered." For a moment, everything pauses. Then, one of the figures hands you a pen and points to the blank calendar. One square glows. March 12th. You understand. They don't want to erase the calendar, they want a place on it. You take the pen and write one word. Stillness. The world breathes, and you fall. Back into light. Back into time. You wake up gasping. Not from a nightmare. From silence. Heavy silence. The kind that hangs like fog in your throat, weighing your words before you can even form them. You're back in your room. The walls are the same. The snow outside is melting like it's remembered what season it is. But something's different. There's a new date circled on your wall calendar. You didn't put it there. March 12th. Stillness Day. The ink is warm to the touch. Giulietta barges in without knocking, hair wild, socks mismatched. She's holding 3 calendars, 1 digital, 2 paper, and all of them show the same thing. "I checked the school schedule," she says breathlessly. "There's a holiday next month that wasn't there yesterday. No history, no mention. But it's official. Like, legally." You blink. "It worked." Giulietta nods. "Whatever you did in that void, it landed." You head downstairs. Lords is already waiting, sipping dark roast like it's weaponized. She doesn't greet you. She just slides a folder across the table. Inside, news clippings, social media posts, government bulletins, all referencing Stillness Day. Most are confused. Some are reverent. A few are afraid. One headline reads, "March 12th, the holiday that came from nowhere." Lords says, "It's stabilized, but it's unanchored." It needs myth, meaning, a ritual. Otherwise, the in-between will reclaim it. You sit. I thought giving them a date would be enough. It isn't, she says. Dates are scaffolding. You need story. Clara crackles through the bell bracelet on your wrist. Heads up, we've got movement. 2 time zones over, something's reacting to the change. Julieta frowns. Something. Someone, Clara corrects. Anomaly tagged as Easterling. No known affiliation, no symbolic anchors, but he's moving fast. You ask where. Clara's voice goes tight. He's heading here. You're already standing, you know better now. When the calendar shifts, so do the players. Every addition causes imbalance, and someone always tries to exploit it. 2 hours later, you're in the woods at the edge of town. That's where the energy spike pointed. You stand in a clearing that shouldn't be on any map. The trees here are too symmetrical. The wind doesn't move. And at the center sits a man on a picnic blanket. Drinking tea. Alone, he wears pastel. Not garish, not goofy. Elegant. Subtle eggshell patterns on his vest. Pale green gloves. A gold pocket watch ticking faintly beside an unopened chocolate bunny. He looks up as you approach. Ah, he says. The ones who broke the silence. You blink. You're the Easterling. He smiles. I've been called that, among other things. Julieta mutters, You look like you came out of a Wes Anderson fever dream. The man tips his head. I prefer symmetry. I also prefer the world when it stays on script. You step forward. What do you want? Balance, he says simply. A new day was born. Stillness Day. A lovely concept, but concepts without boundaries breed chaos. You cross your arms. You think you should set those boundaries? I think someone should, he replies. He plucks a jelly bean from a porcelain bowl beside him. Do you know what happens when the calendar begins to think for itself? You shake your head. He leans forward. Time becomes democratic. The quiet days find voices, the loud days get questioned, and eventually the symbols fail. He eats the jelly bean like it's a communion wafer. Julieta's voice is low. You're not here to celebrate, you're here to contain. The Easterling stands, and the clearing changes. Behind him, trees unfurl like ribbon, transforming into a long hallway made of decorated eggs and fake grass. A throne forms at the end, half chocolate, half porcelain. He walks toward it. I represent equilibrium, he says. Spring must return to power. Winter has overextended. Your Stillness Day, though beautiful, tips the axis. You frown. What are you asking? He sits on the throne and smiles. Permission to curate it. Just a little. Fold it under my holiday, make it gentle, decorative, temporary. Julieta snorts. You want to colonize a concept. The Easterling doesn't deny it. I want to give it containment. Left untethered, Stillness Day will become a magnet for every forgotten moment, every erased memory. The unanchored always collapse. You hesitate, because what he's saying feels true, but it also feels wrong. Clara's voice buzzes in. Don't let him brand it. That's how they all start. Offer help, then rewrite history. You step forward. Stillness Day isn't yours. It's theirs. The in-betweens. It's not meant to be polished. It's meant to rest. The air shifts. The Easterling sighs. A pity. He claps once. The ground splits. And out rise figures. Half bunnies, half dolls. Uncanny. Perfectly symmetrical. Their faces are blank chocolate. Their smiles are piped icing. He calls them the regulators. Julieta draws her snow globe mace. You lift your sleigh bell, but it's not glowing, the bell's silent. Your anchor to the calendar is fading. The Easterling sees your confusion. Of course, he says. Stillness isn't yours anymore, it's theirs. If you want to defend it, he gestures to the woods, you'll have to go back. Find the first moment of stillness, anchor it in story, give it meaning before I do. Julieta's already moving. You turn to follow, but the regulators close in, and then the trees swallow you, and you're falling, back into the day that wasn't there. You fall through air that doesn't feel like air. It feels like delay, like waiting rooms. Like all the moments between events when nothing really happens, and yet everything subtly shifts. You're surrounded by quiet, Not silence exactly, but the hush of expectation, the breath before a decision. Then your feet hit ground, or something like it. The sky is a watercolor blur above you, bleeding softly from gold to grey. The horizon hums, undefined. There are no landmarks, no time markers, no gravity as you know it, just space, thought, pause. Julieta lands beside you in a roll that ends with a muttered, "Ow, I officially hate metaphysical terrain." You look around. This is the birthplace of Stillness Day. But it isn't a place. It's a moment. You're inside the very first time someone chose not to move, not because they couldn't, but because they needed to stop, to breathe, to reflect. Julieta stands, then goes still. You turn and see what she sees. A memory, forming, like mist solidifying into scene. It's not yours. It's not hers. But you recognize the feeling. A child sitting on a staircase, arms around knees, watching a party through the crack of a door. Not sad, not lonely, just tired, overwhelmed, choosing not to join, choosing to rest. Let the world spin without them for a minute. The child isn't anyone, or maybe they're everyone. They're the first stillness. Julieta whispers, "Is that it? Is that what we're here for?" You nod, but before you can step forward, a crack tears across the sky. Not a sound. Not a light, a crack, like someone broke a pane of glass in the atmosphere. Through it steps the Easterling's regulators. They glide, not walk, not fast, not slow, just inevitable. Julieta raises her weapon, but you hold out a hand. No. You step forward and walk toward the memory. The regulators follow. The child on the staircase glances up and sees you. You kneel beside them, smile. "I'm sorry we forgot you." The child tilts their head, then reaches out. In their palm, something small. A token, not a toy, not a trinket, a piece of stillness. You take it, and instantly, you know what Stillness Day is meant to be. It's not for reflection, not just for rest. It's for the pause between identity shifts, for the moment where you're no longer who you were, but not yet who you'll be. You stand. The token glows in your hand. It's shaped like a semicolon, not a period, not a dash, just pause. Julieta mutters, "That's poetic and rude." You lift the token to the sky. The crack closes. The regulators pause. One by one, they stop moving, then crumble into flower petals. Not dramatic, just finished. Unnecessary. The moment is complete, stillness anchored. The memory dissolves, and the world blinks and resets. You're standing in a field now, real, physical, in the waking world. Clara's voice bursts into your earpiece. You're back. The regulators are gone. Stillness Day, just locked into the global calendar, and you did it. Julieta whoops beside you, then winces. My ankles say otherwise. You look around. The air feels clearer, and above you the clouds part, just slightly. A thin beam of light touches your shoulder. It's warm. A grandmother's kind of warm. Lourdes appears behind you, out of literal thin air. She's sipping tea like she didn't just bend time. "You wrote it," she says. You nod. She gestures to the token still in your hand. "You'll need that." "For what?" Lourdes smiles, soft and terrifying. "To deal with who comes next." You frown. "You mean the Easterling?" "No," she says. "He's just spring cleaning." She steps aside and points to the horizon, where a crack is forming again, but this one glows purple, throbs, heavy. It doesn't hiss like the others. It growls. And from inside, you hear the unmistakable sound of marching. Not festive, not chaotic, disciplined. Marching in lockstep. Julieta goes pale. That's not Easter." Clara's voice comes through. "We are detecting organized rhythm patterns, drumline formations, ceremonial energy signatures." You whisper, "Who would be that coordinated?" Lourdes exhales. "April." You blink. April Fools? She shakes her head. April 1, the Bureau of Order, the enforcers of new beginnings, the day of resets. The crack rips wider, and you see them. Dozens of figures, wearing polished uniforms, each holding briefcases, each with calendars stitched into their coats. April 1 is here, and they're not smiling. They march through the rift in the sky as if invited. No chaos, no drama, just relentless efficiency. April 1, the Bureau of Order. New Year's quieter, deadlier cousin. Each figure wears a slate-grey uniform stitched with calendar grid lines. Their boots hit the earth in absolute synchronicity. No hesitation, no emotion, no variance. Their faces are covered by mirrored masks, each reflecting a different version of you. Not as you are, as you could be, should be, would be, if you'd followed the rules. Julieta whispers, "This feels like if Google Calendar grew legs and declared martial law." Clara's voice snaps through your bracelet. "Do not engage. April 1 operates under restructure protocol. They're immune to sentiment. They don't fight. They reassign." Lords lowers her tea slowly. "This isn't a holiday, it's a reset system. We're about to get audited." The lead enforcer steps forward. Their voice is neutral, not robotic. Worse, bureaucratic. "Unauthorized addition detected." You ask a Stillness Day, they mean Stillness Day. Calendar protocol violated, sequence integrity compromised, emotional variance exceeded 7.2%. Discrepancy must be corrected. You lift your sleigh bell. Stillness Day was anchored. It belongs now. The enforcer turns to you. For a moment their mirrored mask flickers, shows you, if you'd chosen differently, woken earlier, worked harder, skipped magic. They speak again. No day exists without purpose, productivity, or policy. Stillness represents none of these. It is not a holiday, it is a hesitation. Julieta scoffs. Yeah, and that's exactly the point. Another enforcer steps forward. This one holds a clipboard forged from obsidian and glass. They tap the surface. A list unfurls in glowing light. Stillness Day is on it, highlighted in red, marked pending termination. Lords mutters, "We're out of time." You step in front of them. Wait. You hold up the token, the semicolon-shaped artifact from the in-between. It glows brighter than ever. The lead enforcer flinches, just barely. The token is unregistered, they say. Illegitimate anchor. No, you reply. It's evidence that the day exists, that it was needed. You are not authorized to define necessity. Julieta rolls her eyes. You ever hear yourselves? You're holiday cops trying to delete naps. The enforcers raise their briefcases. Not weapons, but you feel the danger. These are rewriters. If they open those cases, reality will shift. Stillness Day will vanish, and so will everything connected to it, including you. Because you carried it, anchored it. Part of you lives inside it now. Clara yells through the comms, "Fall back! Extraction route opening through March!" You shake your head. "No, we hold." Lords narrows her eyes. "Then we don't defend with weapons." She steps forward and begins to speak, not argue, not plead. She tells a story, a moment from her own life, years ago, after your grandfather died. The day she sat by the window, said nothing, did nothing, just breathed, and how it saved her. Julieta adds hers. That one morning last year where she shut off her phone, skipped school, and just watched light crawl across her ceiling. For no reason. Because she needed it. You tell yours. Of a birthday that went wrong, everyone forgot. So you just sat on the porch. Didn't cry, didn't sulk, just existed. And somehow, that made it okay. The enforcers pause. The briefcases dim. You see their masks flicker again. Not just yours now, other faces, other lives, memories leaking in. Lords whispers, "They're not machines. They're echoes. People who stopped choosing, who got folded into policy." You step forward, hold out the token. Stillness isn't a glitch. It's the gap where people survive. The token releases a pulse, like a bell chime underwater. It hits the enforcers, and one by one, they freeze, not in place, in thought, like they're remembering something. Their briefcase is full. The clipboard shatters. The lead enforcer looks at you and says quietly, "I once paused." Just 3 words. Then they vanish. All of them. Gone. No explosion. Just absence. As if they chose not to exist here anymore. Lourdes sags with relief. Giulietta drops to the grass. Clara comes running from the edge of the woods with the tactical grandmas in tow. "They pulled out of the time stream," she says breathlessly. "You talked them out of it." You hold up the token. It's changing, becoming something new. A calendar page, with a name now, not just Stillness Day, but a subtitle, "In honor of the pause that healed." Giulietta wipes her eyes. "Okay, but next year we're doing this with snacks." Lourdes nods. "Next year, there will be cake." Clara taps her bracelet. The holiday is now locked, global, emotionally distributed, unreversible. You smile. But then her voice shifts, quiet, nervous. "I also detected something else in the data. A ripple from further ahead." You ask, "How far?" She hesitates. "October." Giulietta stiffens. "No, nope, absolutely not." Clara looks at you, eyes wide. There's movement in the shadows. The Halloween Council is stirring. And this time, she swallows, they're not working alone. You feel it in your chest again. That chill, that promise. A new war. One not about erasure, but transformation. And behind it, something older. Something that doesn't want to rewrite time. It wants to replace it. Entirely. October isn't supposed to arrive early, and yet here it is, leaking through windows, settling in tree branches, sifting into your shoes like fallen secrets. The air smells like cinnamon, but not the good kind, the heavy, artificial kind, candied dread. You stare out the kitchen window and see it, pumpkins on porches that weren't there yesterday, costumes in shop windows 2 seasons early, a single black cat sitting on the sidewalk, staring straight at you. Giulietta walks in with a hoodie over her pajamas and a stack of newspapers from tomorrow. "They're calling it premature October syndrome," she says, dropping the headlines in front of you. "People are carving pumpkins in April. One guy's already building a haunted corn maze in his condo." Lourdes steps in behind her, holding a Halloween candy bucket like it's a live grenade. "Too soon," she mutters. "Far, far too soon." Clara appears via sleigh bell transmission, her voice more serious than ever. "We've confirmed it. The Halloween Council is deploying pre-echoes, testing resonance, seeding atmosphere before its designated window. They're pushing a full seasonal coup." You raise an eyebrow. "Why now?" "Because Stillness Day broke the seal. The calendar's no longer self-regulating, it's open source, and someone's using that to rewrite seasonal power." Giulietta flips one of the newspapers. The front page is blank, just orange static, a sign. You ask the question you already fear. Who's leading them? Clara doesn't answer at first. Then, reluctantly, October 31st isn't answering her summons. She's gone rogue. But there's someone else. An entity that's never held a date, never had a window. Giulietta leans forward. "No, don't say it." It calls itself Midnight. The room chills. Lourdes sits slowly. Her voice drops. "I've heard that name, once, a long time ago." You listen. He's the space between Halloween and November, the hour when candy goes stale, when costumes become real, when tricks forget to be jokes. Giulietta grimaces. Sounds like a Tumblr cryptid. Clara's voice cuts through. He's worse. Midnight doesn't want recognition, he wants permanence. If Halloween expands into fall entirely, he becomes inevitable. Not a holiday, a season. And the worst part? He doesn't work alone. 2 days later, you're in the field. Literally. At the cornfield that shouldn't exist. Planted overnight. You, Giulietta, Clara, and a field team of retired Easter bunnies, don't ask, stand on the edge of the rows. Everything is quiet. Too quiet. Clara whispers, "The council's staging their first event here. A pre-Halloween anomaly. Julieta tightens her gloves. Is it going to be a haunted hayride of existential regret? You don't have time to answer, because the first scarecrow blinks, then turns its head. It shouldn't move. It shouldn't breathe. But it does both. Clara raises a flare. Julieta raises her mace. You raise your hand. Wait. The scarecrow steps forward and says, "You started this." Its voice is dry leaves and broken clocks. You gave the forgotten a date, a holiday, a voice. You opened the calendar. More scarecrows rise behind it, not made of straw, made of receipts, abandoned decorations, lost memories of costumes never worn. One of them holds a candy bucket, still half full, still rattling with regret. Julieta mutters, "I really miss when Christmas was just about capitalism." The lead scarecrow tilts its head. You want structure, control, but we were always the danger in the attic, the whisper behind the mask, and now... The cornfield catches fire, but the flames burn cold. And through the rows steps a figure, cloaked in velvet night, face pale as an empty calendar, eyes glowing with unread bedtime stories. Midnight. He speaks with a voice that makes the wind flinch. Let them fear their memories. He raises a lantern, and from it spills shadow, not darkness but nostalgia denied. Every failed Halloween costume, every party no one showed up to, every doorbell that was never answered. You fall to your knees. The weight of it is unbearable. Julieta screams. Clara drops her tablet. Even Lourdes, emerging from the edge of the field, stumbles. Midnight walks closer. "You took a still moment," he says, "and made it sacred. Now I'll take a haunted moment and make it eternal." He lifts the lantern again. You force yourself up and speak. "I didn't create stillness to break the calendar. I created it because people needed space to be human." Midnight pauses. He looks at you, then says, "And now I'll show them what happens when humans forget the cost of memory." He vanishes. The fire goes out. The scarecrows collapse, and in the sky, the moon turns orange. Not soft orange. Jack-o'-lantern orange. It's not October, but it's coming. Early and hungry. October arrives on a Tuesday. No warning, no logic, no consent. One moment you're brushing your teeth under April's sun, and the next, you're standing in the hallway, heart racing, as the lights flicker pumpkin orange and your reflection starts wearing a werewolf mask you don't own. Julieta yells from the kitchen, "The fridge just screamed at me." Lourdes rushes in with a bundle of sage and a thermos of anti-possession cocoa. It's begun. Outside, the world is glitching. Jack-o'-lanterns on rooftops, candy corn raining sideways, shadows that don't line up with their objects. Clara's voice blasts through the sleigh bell channel. "We have confirmation. The hour is stretching. Midnight's expanding his window across the calendar. October is infecting the months." She pauses. The first casualty is September. You sit down before your knees give out. September, gone. Replaced by something hollow. Clara explains. Time passes, but the memory's erased. People remember August. Then some time passed. Then October. No back to school. No Labor Day. No slow fade into fall. Just a skip. A void. The calendar's losing narrative. Julieta grabs her phone. Social feeds are calling it The Drop. A soft horror reboot of time. There's already merch. You look at Lourdes. Her face is pale. "Who's next?" you ask. "June," she says without hesitation. "Midnight feeds on contrast. He'll erase joy to make fear more permanent." Clara's voice comes back, shaken. "He's building a corridor, a haunted hallway through the year. If we don't stop him, Halloween becomes the default. Every holiday gets filtered through fear. No romance, no rebirth, no gratitude, just terror. You stand. We need allies." Lourdes nods. "Start with July. Independence Day has explosives. And fire. He'll fight to exist." Julieta sighs. "Great. Now we're recruiting fireworks to battle Halloween ghosts. My brain's a piñata." You ignore her, because you feel something. Your sleigh bell bracelet pulses, but not with Clara's signal. with something older, a message, a whisper. You hold the charm to your ear, and you hear it. We remember the dark, not threatening, not comforting, just true. Julieta leans close. What's it saying? They're calling for me. Lourdes grabs her coat. Then we answer. 12 hours later, you're in a forgotten amusement park on the edge of nowhere. It shut down 10 years ago, but the Ferris wheel is turning, slowly, with no electricity. Halloween is staging a memory harvest. Each cart holds a costume, some from your past, some from other people's futures. Julieta mutters, I see my 7th grade B costume. I burned that thing. Clara appears beside you, dusty and furious. They're pulling nostalgia into storage. Every old Halloween memory. Every fear wrapped in tradition. Midnight's building a library of nightmares. You ask why. Clara turns her screen toward you. It shows the calendar grid, dates flickering, October stretching across the top like ink on wet paper. Because once he owns the past, he owns the future. Suddenly the carousel starts spinning. Faster. And in the center of it, Midnight, standing perfectly still as the world spins around him. He raises a hand, and the music slows, not in pitch, in emotion. It doesn't sound like Calliope tunes, it sounds like regret in 3/4 time. Julieta clutches her ears. Make it stop. You take a step forward. Midnight sees you, doesn't move, but speaks. You cannot stop the echo. The air warps. You're standing in your bedroom. No one's there except you, a younger you, 7 years old in a dinosaur onesie, crying quietly into a bucket of unopened Halloween candy. Midnight stands behind you, watching, narrating. Your costume ripped, your flashlight broke. No one came to the door. Your sister was at a sleepover. Your grandmother was sick. You sat there alone and learned fear doesn't need monsters. You try to speak, but your younger self doesn't hear you. Midnight steps forward and places his hand on the child's shoulder. From this moment on, he says, October belonged to me. Suddenly you're back. Julieta grabs your arm. You were frozen, for a minute. Clara looks pale. You were inside a personal hollow. He's weaponizing your memories. You clench your fists. He's cheating. No, Clara says, he's storytelling. And she's right. This isn't an invasion. It's a rewrite. Midnight's not attacking the calendar. He's narrating over it, and people are starting to believe it. That October was always longer. That fear was always central. That Stillness Day was just a dream. You whisper, then we change the story. Julieta blinks. How? Lourdes answers. We make our own echo. She opens a notebook. Inside, songs, recipes, games. Holiday traditions from every forgotten day. Not grand, not flashy, but real. We counter midnight with truth, she says. Not logic, not combat, memory, shared. Clara nods. I'll send the call. She taps her bracelet. And across the world, tiny bells start ringing, not alarms, invitations. The calendar is waking up, not to fight, to remember. And from somewhere distant, Midnight stops walking and listens. They ring in waves. At first, faint. A soft chime here, a gentle jingle there. But then stronger, louder, not chaotic, synchronized, everywhere. Sleigh bells, door chimes, the forgotten rustle of holiday drawers opened too early, too late. Across the world, the calendar is answering your call, not with fire, with memory. In a bakery in Tuscany, a grandmother dusts sugar on a table and hums a lullaby she used to sing for Candlemas. In a small flat in Tokyo, a child lights a paper lantern, not knowing why, only that her grandmother said it used to mean peace. In the basement of a community center in Cleveland, someone finds a dusty banner that says Loyalty Day, and for the first time in decades it's pinned to the wall again. They're coming back. Not the big holidays, the lost ones, quiet ones, honest ones. And that's the plan. That's the counterspell. Because if Midnight is expanding fear by owning nostalgia, you're going to flood the calendar with everything else. love, stillness, hope, messy, flawed, human meaning. Giulietta reads the signals off Clara's device. We've got engagement pings from 7 minor holidays, 3 regional celebrations, and 1 rogue Arbor Day cult. Clara doesn't look up. Good. Every echo matters. The calendar listens to belief. You pace the old amusement park, now your temporary base. Lords and the elder agents are laying down protection charms made from birthday candles and egg dye. Giulietta's drawing a chalk line around the carousel. Do we have a plan? She asks. Or are we just hoping people light enough tea lights to make fear go away? We have a plan, you say. You hold up the token from Stillness Day. It's changing again. No longer a semicolon. Now, it's a comma. Giulietta groans. You're making grammar into magic now? You smile. It's a pause, not an end. It means the story continues. Lords joins you. Her hands are shaking, but her eyes are steel. He'll strike before dawn. You nod. Midnight won't wait, because he knows. If enough people remember, he can't overwrite them. Clara looks up from her screen. We have one shot, a counter-ritual, but it has to be told, not performed. Narrated, broadcasted. Giulietta blinks. You mean a story? Yes, Clara says, a true one. You understand instantly. Not your story, everyone's. The plan is simple, terrifying, but simple. You'll stand in the carousel of regret, Midnight's own anchor point, and you'll tell the truth. About holidays, about meaning, about why people need different days to feel alive. And if enough people hear it, believe it, the calendar will lock and Midnight's corridor will collapse. But he's already here. The air chills. The mirrors along the carousel shatter inward. From each broken pane, a version of you steps out. Each one dressed in a failed costume, a missed opportunity. Versions where you didn't try, didn't care, gave up. Midnight walks through them like a king inspecting his pawns. His eyes glow the color of dusk and denial. He raises his lantern. This is your last chance, he says. Relent. Let the world settle into fear. It's easier, more stable. People already believe it. You look at Giulietta, at Clara, at Lords, at the calendar you've been trying to protect, and you step onto the carousel. It starts to spin, slowly, not pulling you in, but amplifying you. Clara begins the transmission, across rooftops, radios, phones, speakers hidden in gas stations and behind church altars. You speak. Once we told each other stories about days. We gave them names. We gave them flavors. We gave them excuses to gather. You pace the carousel. Some were loud, some were quiet, some were forgotten. But they mattered. Giulietta picks up the thread. Because we need more than survival. We need markers. Days to feel again, to reset, to rest, to laugh. Clara adds, voice firm. We need reminders that time is more than clocks. It's memory, shared. The carousel glows. Midnight raises the lantern, but the mirrors begin to reflect him now. Not in power, in past. He sees his own origin, a cancelled Halloween, a lonely night, a child, forgotten. That's all he ever was. A fear that wanted to matter. Lords finishes the story. We gave names to days not to control them, but to understand each other, and fear, when named, becomes something less monstrous. The wind stops. The mirrors reassemble. The figures vanish. Midnight stands alone. He speaks, barely above a whisper. I only wanted to be remembered. You step down from the carousel, hold out your hand, and offer the comma. He takes it. It dissolves in his fingers, and he fades, gently, like a breath held too long. Gone, not defeated, freed. It's morning. The sun rises, slowly, naturally. October is back in its place. So is September. So is June. The calendar is whole. The council has gone quiet. Stillness Day remains. Midnight is no longer a threat, but his corridor, his haunted hour, still exists, dormant, waiting. Julieta sips cocoa and mutters, "So, we won?" Lourdes shakes her head. "We paused the rewrite. We reminded the world. But the calendar will always attract those who want to control it." Clara appears, her screen full of new signals. "Because time is the most dangerous story we tell." You smile and write a new date into your journal. March 13th, the day the bells rang. Because someday someone will forget, and you'll remind them. 3 months pass, no chaos, no time rifts, no costume cults or candy-based insurgencies, just summer. Bright, blistering textbook summer, school's out. Sprinklers hiss, kids scream in backyard pools. Julieta gets a sunburn on her ear and declares war on the sun. You've almost forgotten what it feels like to sleep without checking the calendar twice before closing your eyes. But then, on July 4th at 3:03 a.m., a new date appears on your bracelet. Not a message, a mark. It blinks once. July 5th, undeclared. You sit up in bed, sweat pooling on your back. The air feels loaded, not hot, not humid, charged. You check the national calendar. July 5th has no holidays. It never has. But the bracelet won't stop pulsing. Downstairs, Lourdes is already awake. She's standing by the kitchen window, arms crossed, a glass of water untouched beside her. She doesn't turn when you enter. "You felt it," she says. Not a question. You nod. "It's not Halloween," you say. "Not even autumn." But it's wrong. Lourdes closes her eyes. This is new. Julieta stumbles in, holding a popsicle like a weapon. "Okay, who broke time again?" "I was 2 bites into peace." Clara calls 30 seconds later. Her voice is trembling. Not afraid. Worse. Confused. "We just got a pulse from July 5th. But not a holiday. A counter-holiday." You frown. "What's that?" A response, like a shadow born from light. It's not on the calendar, not even in the unmarked days. It's an unclaimed concept. Julieta leans in. "You're saying a day invented itself?" "No," Clara says. "I'm saying it declared independence." At 12:01 a.m. on July 5th, the sky goes black. Not night, not storm, just off. The stars blink out. The moon slides away like it's ashamed. And from the east, a sound begins to rise. Metal. Marching. Machinery. You stand in your backyard, barefoot in the grass, as dozens, no hundreds of figures begin stepping through the tree line. They are made of flags, not American, not any nation, just flags, abstract, stitched from protest banners, rejected symbols, broken promises. On each of their backs, "We never got a day." Julieta whispers, "Is this the ghosts of failed holidays?" Lourdes steps forward, hands raised. "Who are you?" The lead figure stops inches from your porch. They remove their mask. It's a mirror, not your reflection. Everyone's they speak. All of them. One voice. We are the nearly celebrated, the once considered, the almost loved. We are the anniversaries of injustices too inconvenient to honor. Clara calls again, her voice low. It's confirmed. July 5th is becoming something alive. It's drawing power from neglect. Not personal like midnight. Collective. Julieta backs away. This isn't nostalgic. You nod. No, it's political. And you realize what's happening. This isn't a holiday born of emotion. This is a reckoning. Every day that could have mattered, should have mattered, but didn't. They're rising, not with candy, not with costumes, with consequences. The leader steps onto your porch. "I watched you make stillness," they say. "I watched you defend memory. I watched you speak peace into power." They pause. "And now you will witness us, not to stop us, not to control us, just to see us." They lift a single black flare into the sky and light it. The smoke that bursts is not dark, it's names, thousands, of people, of movements, of dates erased from textbooks. Lourdes kneels. She starts writing them down, because that's all she can do. You look at the leader. What are you calling this day? Their mirrored face tilts. July 5th. No more silence, no more fireworks. The figures begin marching again. Not to fight, to walk the world, to be seen. Clara says, they don't want the calendar, they want history. Giulietta sits down hard on the porch. Okay, but can they at least coordinate their fonts? You don't laugh, because something's happening, bigger than anything before. Midnight wanted memory. These, they want presence. You turn to Lourdes. Can we let them stay? She nods slowly. Not only can we must. So you do something no one has done in decades. You invite them in. You set a table. You give them names. You let them exist. And the calendar? It shifts. Just slightly, not broken, not bleeding, expanding, welcoming what it once ignored. And in the sky, for just 1 second, the stars come back. You thought the hard part was over, that once the calendar stabilized, once midnight faded and July 5th was given breath, the war would end, that you'd earned a stretch of quiet. But it turns out, peace is just another kind of erasure, because the next day, the sky doesn't light up. It doesn't darken either. It flickers, and when you look at the calendar, there are gaps, literal gaps, white space swallowing whole dates, not crossed out, removed. Clara's voice hisses through your bracelet, distorted like bad reception on an old radio. We've got loss events, entire days being unanchored. People woke up with memories of not existing yesterday. They're scared, and they should be. Giulietta walks into the kitchen with a half-eaten toaster pastry and a scowl. Okay, so are we just going to lose every date that doesn't have a strong enough personality? What's next, Tuesday the 18th going rogue because we forgot its birthday? Lourdes doesn't answer. She's staring out the window. Then she says softly, it's not dates being deleted. She turns to face you. It's people. The sentence is simple, but it detonates in your chest. Clara confirms a moment later. It's confirmed. The calendar is pruning, not holidays. Humans. People without anchor memories. People without strong seasonal resonance. Giulietta blinks. You're saying if someone doesn't have a calendar identity, they just get erased? They become unmarked. If no one remembers them on a meaningful day, the system drops them, like dead code. You whisper, that's not pruning, that's execution. Clara's voice hardens. It's the calendar correcting itself, deciding who matters based on how often they're remembered. Outside, the mail arrives. You get a letter, no return address. No stamp, just one word on the envelope. Appeal. Inside, a list. Names, dozens, hundreds, and next to each, a date, all faded, all blank. These are the forgotten, not by their fault, by ours. People who were never given a birthday party. People who didn't have families to mark anniversaries. People who existed in the margins of other people's calendars. You read the last line of the letter. You made space for stillness. Will you now make space for us? Giulietta says. So, what? We invent holidays for strangers? Lourdes shakes her head. No, we remember them together. Clara breaks in. We've traced the source of the wipe. It's not the calendar. It's a subroutine, a rogue protocol buried deep, auto-archival. You ask, how do we shut it down? You don't. You overwrite it. Giulietta rolls her eyes. With what? Vibes? No, Clara says. With ritual. That night, you host the first ever remembrance vigil. No banners, no fireworks, just 12 candles. Each one lit in silence, each one named. You don't know these people, but you know they mattered. You speak a name, a date, a sentence. Elena Jimenez, March 2nd, once saved every paper napkin she was ever handed. Jonathan Key, October 9th, wrote poems he never showed anyone. Mei Ling Cho, April 18th, made the best cinnamon rice no one ever tasted but her. Giulietta adds her own. I don't know his name, she says, staring into the flame. Bertie helped me pick up my books in 8th grade. I never said thank you. You watch the flames and slowly around the world, other people start doing the same. Clara sends a live stream. Thousands tune in. They light their own candles, say their own names. And the calendar? It begins to bend, not break, accommodate. The blank spaces don't vanish, they fill. Not with holidays, not with parades, with acknowledgement. The system learns that remembering doesn't need perfection. Only participation. But then, the flame in your candle dims just a little and your bracelet buzzes. Clara again. But this time her voice is ragged. It's retaliating. You stand. What is? The subroutine. It's calling itself... She pauses, then says it. Null day. Julieta whispers, no, that's not a thing. But it is. Because in the distance, you see it rising. A dark moon. No light, no reflection, just a hole in the sky. And in its center, a date. No number, no name, just an underscore. Clara's voice is barely audible. It's not trying to erase people now, it's trying to erase the idea of dates. You turn to Lourdes. What do we do? She opens her spellbook, rips out a page, and hands it to you. We give it what it fears most. You unfold the page. At the top, found day. And underneath, a single instruction. Remember someone no one else does, and mean it. Null day begins like a rumor, a whisper in the static between radio stations, a skipped alarm. A missed step on stairs you've walked every day of your life. By noon, no one knows what day it is, not in the forgotten your keys kind of way. In the calendar app has stopped functioning, the sun won't commit to a position, and clocks are stuck blinking 12-odd kind of way. The world doesn't fall apart. It fades. Dates evaporate from bank statements, birthday reminders, wedding rings. Even your memory starts to buckle. You look at your phone, your name is still there, but your birthday, blank. Julieta's voice cracks through the fog. I don't know how old I am anymore. You can't remember yours either. You hear Clara breathing heavily through the sleigh bell channel. Global date stamps have collapsed. Schools can't mark attendance. Hospitals can't schedule surgery. Death certificates are being issued with no timestamp. Lourdes lights every candle in the house. It's not magic anymore. It's resistance. But she's trembling. It's worse than I thought, she says. Null day doesn't want to delete memories. You whisper, it wants to disconnect them. Clara's voice is faint. Found day is our only shot. And you know she's right, because when the structure collapses, the only thing left is story. You gather what you need. A notebook. A candle. The token that used to be a comma, now just a scrap of melted brass. Your voice. And you walk. The streets are empty, not abandoned, uninhabited. The world's not ending. It's being unwritten. Every house looks like someone might live there. Every car is still warm, but there's no proof. You reach the town square. No lights, no bells, just fog. And a single figure standing beside the old fountain. She's about your age. No features, no name. Just presence. And in her hand, a blank ID badge. She sees you, but doesn't speak. Because she doesn't remember how. You take the notebook and begin to read. I met someone today. She doesn't have a name. But I think she loves pickles and used to hum in grocery stores. I think she was born on a day no one noticed. But I notice her now. The girl flickers, just slightly. The fog twitches. She isn't famous. She never had a parade. But I remember her. She mattered because I saw her. Clara's voice returns. It's working. Small scale. Micro restorations detected. Julieta joins you in the square, holding a photo album that wasn't there 10 minutes ago. I remember a kid named Dev, she says. He used to glue googly eyes on fire hydrants. No one remembers him, I do. Lourdes appears next, carrying a shoe. One of my students, Mira, had a lisp and a laugh like confetti. I remember her. More people gather, people you don't recognize, some with names, some with none. Each of them speaks. A sentence, a fragment, a truth. My grandfather used to whistle lullabies in minor key. My cousin once sent me a mixtape titled Songs to Pretend You're Braver To. My neighbor left cookies on every doorstep one winter. No one thanked her, I never forgot. The square begins to fill, not with noise, not with light, with story, the kind of story that doesn't make headlines, but anchors a soul to time. Then, the sky ripples, like film warping in a projector, and null day appears, not a figure, a hole, floating above the square. No color, no gravity, just absence. It begins to pull, not with wind, with forgetting. Names drop from tongues, faces lose shape. Even your story begins to blur. You grip the notebook tighter, tighter, until the pen inside snaps. Julieta grabs your hand, yells over the noise, "You're not going to win with logic." And then she does something unexpected. She sings, not well, not loud, just real. The tune is broken, but it's hers, a birthday song for a kid she hasn't seen since elementary school. Others join in, humming, clapping, reading, dancing. They don't remember every word, but they remember how it felt. And null day, it falters, because it doesn't know what to do with joy that doesn't need proof. The square fills with fireflies made of memory. They swarm the hole in the sky, and for a moment, you see it shrink. Lourdes hands you a fresh page, and you write a name, one you thought was gone forever, your own. Then a date, not when you were born, not when you'll die, just when you mattered. Today. The hole lets out a single shuddering sigh, then collapses into nothing. The fog clears. The sun returns, and the world exhales. Clara's voice returns, steady now. The calendar's intact, all dates accounted for. Null day, locked away. Julieta flops onto the fountain rim. We just defeated the concept of institutional amnesia with a mixtape and 2 sentences. Lourdes smiles. The most powerful force in the world isn't fear. She looks at you. It's witnessing. You look at the bracelet. The screen now says July 6th, found day. Below it, for the ones we almost lost. And just for a moment, you hear bells ringing again. But this time they sound like your name. It begins with a child. A 5-year-old in a kindergarten class in Manitoba draws a picture of a holiday, a new one. She calls it Tomorrow Day. Crayon scribbles of purple suns, floating clocks and smiling shadows. No teacher told her to draw it. No adult has ever heard of it. But every kid in the room nods when she explains it. It's the day after today, where everything finally goes right. Cute. Innocent. Until the next morning. That picture is on the national calendar, right between August 7th and 8th. August 7th 1-2, Tomorrow Day. And it doesn't stop there. A high school student in Brazil writes a joke holiday on his blog. Something about National Nap and Cry Day. It's ironic, satirical. By noon, it trends. By sunset, government agencies are fielding calls about whether banks will be closed for it. By midnight, people start living as if it's real, sleeping longer, crying harder. Not sad, relieved. The next day it's on calendars across 4 continents. Another day, another echo, another non-existent holiday being treated like gospel. Lourdes calls it chrono-projection syndrome. Julieta calls it premature calendarulation. Clara, voice deadly serious, calls it the prophecy epoch. You sit in the town archive, surrounded by holiday documents that didn't exist yesterday. Handwritten notes, digital invites, full-blown marketing campaigns. All pointing to events that haven't happened yet, some joyous, some not. You read a memo labeled Cleansing Eve, Sept 29, that casually mentions the day we all confessed our worst memories in the firelight. You check the date. It's in 2 weeks. Julieta leans over your shoulder. Okay, who is scheduling trauma like it's brunch? Lourdes sets down a folder, heavy and ancient. These are not inventions. They're receptions, echoes from possible futures, leaking backward. Clara's voice crackles through. We've found the source, a ripple, originating from a single location, remote, unmapped. They call it the almanac. ask, "Is that like a book?" "No," Clara says. "It's a place." 48 hours later, you stand at the threshold of it. The almanac is a building, sort of. It looks like a house folded into a library, wrapped in weathered parchment, with windows that reflect events that haven't happened yet. You see yourself, older, different. Stronger? Worse? You blink and the reflection changes. Now it's not you. Now it's someone else wearing your face. The front door opens by itself. Giulietta mutters, "Of course it does." Inside, the halls are lined with pages, not books, pages pinned to the walls, each one labeled with a date that doesn't exist. April 0. December 32. Last Tuesday. Your last good day. A figure waits at the end of the hallway. Tall, wearing a robe made of torn calendar pages. A crown of bent clock hands on their brow. They speak without moving their mouth. "Welcome to what could be." Giulietta whispers, "Okay, Voldemort's sad poet cousin is officially giving me the creeps." You step forward. "Are you the source?" The figure nods. "I am the herald. The almanac is not written, it is predicted. And now the world has begun believing in what it doesn't yet understand." You ask, "Why now?" The herald smiles. The calendar broke open. You let in stillness. You allowed October to stretch. You acknowledged the forgotten. They lean closer. Now the future demands to be felt. Lord steps beside you. "Why are these days so specific? Why is one labeled the day all cats spoke, and another the global sneeze?" The herald shrugs. "Because the future is absurd, tragic, beautiful, chaotic. It dreams, and now that dream is leaking backward." They gesture toward a blank wall. "Write one." You freeze. "What?" "Write a holiday, any date, any theme. Declare it, and watch the world adjust." Giulietta reaches for a pen. You stop her. "Wait." You turn back to the herald. "What's the cost?" Their smile fades. "You anchor it," they say. "It becomes your burden, your shadow. You create a new narrative thread. If people believe it, then it grows. And if they don't, it unravels you." Silence. Then Clara's voice in your earpiece. "They're tempting you. Don't build a future that can't carry its own weight." But you look at the wall. Blank. Waiting. And you wonder, what if there is a holiday that could help? A day where people forgive themselves. A day where no one's late, no one's blamed, no one's forgotten. You take the pen and write, October 14th, Grace Day. The wall glows, your bracelet sizzles, and somewhere across the world someone opens their phone and finds a new event listed. No explanation, just a whisper in their heart. Grace Day. Giulietta breathes, "Oh no, you just did it." Lords nods, grave. "You've changed the future again." The herald bows. "You are now part of it." The pages on the walls rustle, and a new one pins itself beside the door. October 14th, the day grace was given, and underneath, witness you. You wake up on October 14th with a weight on your chest, not physical, emotional, existential. Grace Day is here, and the world is wrong, not broken, not burning, just too quiet. The usual traffic hum is muted. Your bracelet isn't pinging. Even Giulietta is silent at breakfast, staring into her cereal like it insulted her ancestors. You check your phone. No emails, no notifications, no disasters, just one push alert. Today is Grace Day. Be still, be honest, be seen. And underneath that, forgiveness is available but not guaranteed. Clara calls first. She's rattled. People are confessing, en masse, but not gently. It's not catharsis. It's a purge. Giulietta adds, "I got 4 apology texts from people I forgot existed. One of them signed off with, 'Please don't forgive me, I just needed to be remembered.' What is happening? You know, because this is the day you wrote. Grace Day. The day everyone gets a chance to forgive or refuse. You wanted kindness, but you forgot how humans really work. Forgiveness isn't always graceful. Sometimes it's ugly, petty, weaponized. Lourdes bursts through the door. Her eyes are wild. She's holding a pile of letters, handwritten, torn, smeared. People are sending preemptive confessions, she says, trying to control the narrative, asking for forgiveness before the stories come out. Julieta blinks. So, like emotional NDAs? Clara comes through the bracelet again. There are two emerging factions. One's calling themselves the Redeemed. They believe today resets everything. Crimes, sins, debts. The other? A pause. The Reckoners. They believe Grace Day is an audit. That silence is complicity. They're hunting anyone who doesn't confess. Your blood runs cold. You didn't write that part. But it doesn't matter. The world believes it now, and belief is currency. Julieta's voice drops. Did we just invent the Hunger Games for guilt? You grab your coat. We need to shut it down. But Lourdes grabs your arm. You can't. You look at her. Why? She opens her palm. In it, a slip of paper, not printed, not typed. Just appeared. Your name, your confession. You didn't write it. But it's true. She reads it aloud. October 14th. You resented saving the calendar. You wanted to be remembered more than you wanted to do good. Silence. Julieta looks away. Clara's voice is quiet now. The almanac is bleeding into real time. It's no longer predicting. It's writing in real time. You're not authoring Grace Day anymore. You're participating in it. You sit, hard, and for the first time since this all began, you feel powerless. Because you made this day. You made it to heal. But now it's a stage, and every hidden shame has found a microphone. Outside, people gather in the park, some with flowers, some with stones, some with lists. The redeemed wear white, the reckoners wear red. No one smiles, everyone watches, waiting. A teenage girl climbs onto the statue in the center of town square. Her voice rings out, raw and shaking. I forgive the man who left me on the bus that night, but I don't forget him. The crowd shifts, some nod, some boo, some cry. Another man steps forward. I don't forgive my brother, he's never asked. Today isn't for him, it's for me. Someone throws confetti, someone else throws a shoe. Julieta tugs your sleeve. This is a mess. You nod and stand. Because I gave them a platform, not a path. You walk to the center of town, raise your bracelet, and speak into every bell in the world. This is not a trial. Your voice echoes. Grace is not a scoreboard. It's not a shortcut. It's not owed. Grace is the space between a wound and a scar. You look around, eyes everywhere, tears, anger, longing. If you can't forgive today, it's okay. If you're not ready to ask, it's okay. Grace doesn't vanish. It waits. It grows when you do. The sky cracks. Just a sliver. The future flexing. Clara screams through the bracelet. You're stabilizing the feed. People are listening. The almanac is pausing. You take one last breath. Let today be messy. Let it be human. Let it mean something. And then you step off the platform, walk back into the crowd. No applause, no reward, just people, remembering how to be with each other. Not perfect, but possible. It starts the next morning, without fanfare. No celestial rift, no candy-colored fog, just an alert on your bracelet that reads, Emotion protocol interrupted. Wonder is deprecated. Proceeding with rational overwrite. At first, it sounds like a glitch, until you walk outside. The sunrise is fine. The air smells like air. But the birds aren't singing. Not silent, just silent inside. You listen harder, and realize the real problem. You don't feel anything. Julieta stumbles into the kitchen, holding a coffee mug that says, Let me feel things, in bold pink font. She stares into it like it betrayed her. I know I like this, she says, voice flat. I just can't remember why. Lourdes is sitting on the porch, her knitting half finished. This isn't sorrow, she whispers. It's subtraction. Clara's voice breaks in over the channel, terse and robotic. Something's rewriting holiday resonance. filtering emotion out of time, joy, grief, awe, scrubbed clean. She takes a breath. It's called the lintel. You frown. Like a doorway? Like a filter, a threshold. It's not a person, it's a protocol. Julieta squints. So, a sentient firewall. Clara doesn't laugh. It's ancient, buried in the early bones of the calendar, designed by the first holiday architects. Back when the world feared too much feeling, you blink. They wanted to prevent emotion? No, Clara says. They wanted to control it. Emotions make dates unstable, so they installed the lintel to clean things up. Julieta groans. So we finally get through Stillness, Midnight Null, and now we're fighting Clippy the sociopath. But it's not a joke, because the symptoms are everywhere now. Weddings feel like spreadsheets. Birthdays taste like cardboard. And funerals. They're just calendars turning pages. The calendar is being sanitized. Lourdes mutters, "It's flattening the curve of humanity." You slam your hands on the table. We have to fight it. Clara hesitates. We can't fight what we don't feel. And she's right. Even your rage is starting to dull. Your memories are turning clinical. Still there, but drained. And then, you get a letter, handwritten, no return address. Inside, a single photo of you, 6 years old. Standing in a rainstorm, arms wide, laughing so hard you couldn't breathe. On the back, "This moment matters. Keep it." You gasp. Because for a second, a flicker of joy lights your chest. Julieta grabs her head. "Oh God, I felt that. What was that?" Clara breaks through again, voice suddenly louder. "You triggered an echo. The lintel can't erase emotional artifacts tied to physical anchors." You whisper, "Photographs." Lourdes adds, "Handwritten letters, first kisses, burnt toast." "Any real thing linked to real feeling." Julieta bolts from the kitchen, returns with a shoebox full of movie tickets, notes, one half of a broken friendship bracelet. "I'm not proud of this, but also, I think I just saved the world." Clara issues a directive. Everyone, everywhere, start anchoring. Tangible memories, real tokens, no digital copies, pure emotion in physical form. You turn the house upside down, old journals, crayon drawings. That one birthday card your mom wrote when she forgot to buy a real gift. Every object hums, dimly, but it builds. The bracelet starts pulsing again, slower, stronger. Clara shouts, "The lintel's slowing, too much noise. It can't process analog emotion." And then you hear it. A song, not through the speakers, in your chest. Lourdes whispers, the sleigh bell anthem. It hasn't played since the first Stillness day, but now it's roaring. Julieta climbs onto the table, holding the broken bracelet from last year's Halloween battle like it's a microphone. She yells, "I declare this day, National Feel Everything Day." You laugh, real, hard, like a sunrise cracking your ribs, and the calendar glows. Clara gasps. New node detected. Full emotion restoration. The lintel's retreating. Outside, a couple starts dancing in the middle of the street. Not well, but wildly. Children throw confetti made of school tests. Lourdes writes the first verse of a poem she thought she lost decades ago. You take the photograph, frame it, whisper to it, "You're still real, and so am I." And from deep inside the calendar, a new page writes itself. October 15th, Day of Resonance. Underneath, observed by anyone who ever loved something stupid and meant it. The lintel doesn't vanish. It withdraws, waits. Because it knows something you do too. Emotion can be messy, dangerous, loud. But it's the only thing keeping the world real. And you just saved it, by feeling everything. At 3:33 a.m. your bracelet freezes, not breaks, stalls. The display doesn't glitch, it just refuses to move forward. You tap it, shake it, reboot it. Nothing. It's still October 15th, but the second hand refuses to tick. Julieta appears in the hallway with a flashlight duct taped to her head. Okay, I know the apocalypse is overdone, but did we just time loop ourselves into emotional stasis? Clara pings in seconds later. You're not stuck. Time is being held. Lourdes joins, clutching a tea mug like it's a holy artifact. Held by what? Clara's voice flattens. Not what? Who? And then, from outside the window, a sound. Not a knock, not thunder. A chime, mechanical, measured, alien, and in the distance you see it. Not a figure, a shape. Walking. Upright. Vaguely human, but wrong. Its arms click backward when it moves. Its joints rotate on different time zones. A face covered in dials, eyes like clock faces. It steps onto your lawn, and time hiccups again. For 3 seconds, everyone in your house remembers 3 different childhoods. Giulietta collapses, clutching her head. Okay, what? Was. That? Clara's voice drops to a whisper. The foreign timestamp has arrived. It calls itself the regulator. You stare out the window, and the regulator stares back. Its mouth doesn't move, but every watch in the house ticks in unison, and you hear it. Your system is sentimental, non-compliant, wild. You've deviated. Giulietta flicks her flashlight. You're damn right we deviated, Clock Daddy. Lourdes hushes her. Don't antagonize something that measures decades in size. The regulator lifts one arm, a dial spins, and suddenly your house is gone, replaced by a room. No doors, no ceiling, just floating screens. Each one playing a different version of October 15th. On one, you never made Grace Day. On another, Giulietta never returned after Midnight's War. In a third, Clara works for the calendar, against you. The regulator speaks again. There are systems where emotion is banned, others where memory is currency. Your version is flawed, corrupted by belief. You step forward. We don't measure time, we live it. It tilts its head. Unacceptable. Standardization required. You feel the pulse then. Deep in your chest, stillness, midnight, found day, grace day, resonance. All the holidays you fought for, they're reacting, like antibodies. Giulietta gasps. It's trying to delete what we created, every deviation, every human thing. The regulator lifts a hand, and the first screen blinks out. The version where you saved Null Day, gone. Lourdes screams. Clara yells through your bracelet. You have one option, one defense. Anchor the system. You ask, how? Choose a primary. One holiday. One emotional node. Make it canon. Use it to override every variant. Giulietta looks horrified. If we pick one, the others could vanish. You feel it. Truth. You can only keep one holiday fully safe. The rest may fracture. You close your eyes. You see them. Stillness Day, the breath that saved you. Found Day, for the forgotten. Grace Day, where forgiveness bloomed. Resonance, raw emotion made real. And you choose. You speak it aloud. The regulator pauses. Then, everything reverses. The house returns. The bracelet ticks. The windows blink once, then go dark. And the regulator, gone, not defeated, just observing, waiting. Clara's voice comes back. You anchored it, that holiday. It's now the core node. All other days root through it. Lourdes grips your arm. You just made history. Giulietta flops on the couch and possibly broke it. You don't answer. You look at your bracelet, at the new centerpiece on the calendar grid. In bold letters, core anchor, holiday name you chose, and underneath it, system status adaptive, watched, unstandardized. The calendar isn't safe, but it's alive, and as long as it breathes, so do you. The regulator returns without sound. No thunderclap, no glitch, no ominous chime, just absence. You're brushing your teeth when it happens. Giulietta's halfway through a joke. Lourdes is boiling water. Clara is configuring a beacon code. And then, suddenly, none of you remember how this day started. Not what time you woke up, not what you dreamed, not if you dreamed. The calendar says October 16th, but there's no emotional trace, no residual joy, no trace of memory, not even apathy, just void. Giulietta looks up, toothbrush still in her mouth. Okay, who deleted morning? Clara confirms over the sleigh bell channel. The regulator has launched a core rewrite. They're targeting the beginning. You ask of the day? Of everything. The concept of starting is unraveling. You don't remember beginning this conversation. You're not sure you ever began breakfast. Even timestamps on emails are missing their first digits. 08, 124, 12, 59. Giulietta throws her phone against the wall. Time just became a mad lib. Lourdes stares out the window. No birds again. And this time, it's not just silence. It's non-existence, like the sky didn't load fully. The regulator has found your weakest point. Not fear, not chaos, but origin. Clara elaborates. If nothing begins, then nothing can be remembered. No first kiss, no first words, no holidays. They're unwriting birth. You whisper, then how do we stop it? She hesitates. With the first story. You gather in the attic. Every object around you, a relic from a day that had a beginning, a concert ticket from your first heartbreak, a matchbook from the diner where Stillness Day was named. The crumpled receipt from the day Giulietta said, I think we're saving the world and I'm annoyed it's not cooler. You stack the items in a circle. Lourdes begins humming. Clara chants a calibration sequence. Giulietta scribbles on her cast with glitter pen. This counts. And you write the story. Not a good one. Not a poetic one. A true one. Once, there was a morning so quiet it almost didn't exist. But someone woke anyway. Someone brushed their teeth. Someone burned the toast. Someone spilled juice and laughed too hard. Someone started and that was enough. The bracelet pulses. Clara shouts, we've got resistance. The regulator is destabilizing. But then, the attic disappears. You fall through fog. Land hard. You're in a nursery. But not just any nursery. The first one. Wooden walls. Blankets stitched from concepts. Mobiles made of raw emotion. The regulator stands at the crib, holding a seed. Not a baby. A seed labeled time. They look at you. This was not meant to grow wild. Time was built to track, not to wander. You step forward. You're wrong. Time isn't just math, it's meaning. The regulator tilts its head. Prove it. You pick up a stuffed bear beside the crib. It blinks once, then tells a memory. Your 4th birthday. The one where the cake collapsed and everyone laughed and it was perfect. You hand it to the regulator. This is time. They pause, and the seed in their hand begins to glow. Dimly, but undeniably. A flicker of warmth, a beginning. You feel the calendar stabilizing. You're not erasing the regulator. You're teaching them. Time isn't something to control. It's something to share. They speak again. Then I require a new instruction. Giulietta appears in the fog, holds up her glitter-covered cast. Try this. Let people be messy. Lourdes adds, let them begin badly, but let them begin. The regulator looks at you. Then I ask for a name. You think, then whisper, Genesis Day. The regulator nods, places the seed in the crib, and vanishes. Back in the attic, everything returns. The objects hum with renewed energy. The sun rises fully outside the window. Giulietta turns to you. I remember this morning now. Lourdes smiles. I remember feeling it. You check the calendar. A new entry glows. October 16th, Genesis Day. For every start that wasn't perfect, and mattered anyway. It starts with a commercial. A 30-second spot during an old sitcom rerun. Harmless enough. Catchy music, fast edits, a smiling mascot in a velvet suit, and then the words that drop your stomach like a freight elevator. This year, celebrate Gratitude Day TEM, sponsored by Grins TM toothpaste. Whiten your smile, widen your heart. You freeze. Giulietta knocks her cereal bowl off the table. Lourdes gasps. No, they found a way in. Clara doesn't even wait for the bracelet. She hacks the channel wide open and screams through the speakers. The calendar's being monetized. We're seeing rapid acquisition patterns, brand insertion, emotional deregulation. They're buying holidays. You check your bracelet. Stillness Day now has a banner ad for weighted blankets. Found Day features a sponsorship credit in partnership with Memory Vault TM. And Genesis Day, it's gone. Replaced by Genesis Prime TM, the official launch day of ChronoCloud TM, the first wearable emotion assistant. Giulietta's voice is barely above a whisper. They're turning time into real estate. You know who's behind this. Not Midnight, not the regulator. Something newer, smilier, hungrier. Clara names it. They call themselves the Consortium of Cheer, a multi-dimensional think tank specializing in the commodification of cultural structures. You ask, who invited them in? Clara answers without hesitation. We did. The moment we made holidays flexible, they found the cracks. Lords is pacing, furious. They're not deleting meaning, they're just licensing it. Clara nods grimly. Exactly. This is worse than erasure. This is control by saturation. Giulietta groans. Okay, but why does my Found Day bracelet now recommend memory supplements? Clara answers, they're linking feelings to products. You feel gratitude, you get an ad. You remember a lost friend? Here's a coupon for virtual cemeteries. And then you hear it, not a chime, a jingle, coming from every device in your house. Why feel alone when you could feel branded? Sign up now for the premium calendar package TM. More holidays, more happiness, less thinking. Giulietta throws a pillow at the speaker. Oh my God, it's Spotify for feelings. You call an emergency meeting. The old park. Midnight's grave. You figure the last place they'd commercialize is a haunted carousel. But when you get there, you see it. The carousel's been repainted. Bright, poppy colors. New sign, Whirl of Whimsy TM, powered by Fruit Clap EWR. Giulietta gags. They got this too. Clara appears in hologram form. They're replicating emotional resonance using algorithmic approximations. They can't create real meaning, but they can simulate it. Lords holds up a pamphlet, printed, shiny. Rent a holiday TM. Create your own day for just $4.99 month. First 7 emotions free. You whisper, we're losing the calendar. Clara answers, not losing. Being outsold. The solution comes from somewhere unexpected. A kid, small, hoodie too big, sitting on the edge of the carousel with a notebook. You ask him what he's writing. He shrugs. My own holiday. Giulietta raises an eyebrow. What, like emo Christmas? He grins. Sort of. It's called Oops Day. The day you admit you messed up and everyone forgives you. As long as you say oops out loud. Lords tilts her head. That's beautiful. He shrugs again. It's dumb, but it's mine. And that's it. That's the answer. You don't fight the corporations, you flood the system with honest chaos. Real holidays from real people, messy ones, unbranded ones. You whisper to Clara, open the archive, let everyone write again. She hesitates. They'll vandalize the calendar. You nod. Good. Let them. And that night the floodgates open. People all over the world submit new holidays. Cry in the shower day. First pancake is always burnt day. Text truce day. Told my therapist everything today day. Thousands. Millions. The calendar bloats. The consortium tries to keep up. But they can't brand everything, and you log into the open archive and create your own. October 17th, the day we took it back. You don't trademark it. You don't monetize it. You just post it. With one sentence. Today I felt something that didn't come with a receipt. And people? They celebrate. Not perfectly. Not with matching merch. But together. And the calendar breathes again. For now. You're standing in the middle of the park again. This time at midnight when it happens. No bells, no fog, no regulator, no smiling mascot trying to sell you emotional stability in 6 easy payments. Just a flicker. Then your bracelet goes black. Then Clara's voice comes through, cracked, strained, barely a whisper across frequencies that shouldn't exist. It's happening. The failsafe. It's called Omega Protocol. Giulietta blinks. You made that up. That sounds like a name you'd make up. Clara doesn't laugh. It's not a joke. She inhales sharply, then continues. The calendar was never meant to last forever. Its original designers, the elders of the temporal loom, built in a final check. A last defense against corruption, saturation, manipulation. If the emotional integrity of time drops below a critical threshold, the fail-safe activates. You whisper. What does it do? It collapses the calendar. Every date, every holiday, every emotion, erased, except one. Julieta stares at you. What do you mean, one? Lourdes is already crying, because she understands. Clara confirms it. The Omega Protocol preserves only one day. It becomes the anchor, the seed. The story from which all other time might eventually grow again. You're all silent. The weight of it presses into your lungs like sand. Clara whispers the final instruction. You must choose. Not just a date, not just a memory, a meaning. One day that defines everything we were. And she adds one more thing. You have 1 hour. The screen goes dark. The countdown begins. Julieta starts pacing. Okay, we've been through a lot. We've made a lot of good days. Stillness Day, Found Day, Grace Day, Genesis Day, the day we took it back. Can we just pick the least depressing one? Lourdes shakes her head. No, it can't just be the happiest day. It has to be the truest. The one people will need most if time begins again. You feel it already. Time is dissolving. Sunsets fall sideways. Shadows don't match their objects. Your bracelet flickers one last time. 00:59, 40. You sit down in the grass. Close your eyes and remember. Everything. The moment stillness taught you to breathe. The sound of midnight's lantern before it vanished. The first name you said aloud on Found Day. The ache of grace, the flood of resonance. The jingle in your heart when emotion came back. The honest chaos when the calendar was reclaimed by the people. And now you have to decide. Julieta votes for resonance. It was messy, raw, loud. That's what we are. Lourdes votes for Found Day, because no one deserves to be erased. Clara offers Genesis. A beginning, not just for time. For us. You listen, but the choice is yours. And time is running out. 0:39, 5. The sky is peeling back. You see a void beyond it. No stars, no future, just possibility. Whatever you pick will become everything. The new origin. The one day every person, everywhere, might one day feel again, before any others are remembered. And then it comes to you, the one that never left. The day you didn't make. The day a child dreamed into being, drawn in crayon, with purple suns and floating clocks. Tomorrow day. The day after today, where everything finally goes right. Not a promise, not perfection, just hope. You stand. Speak it aloud. I choose tomorrow day. Julieta blinks. That was real? Lourdes nods. It was. It is. It always was. Clara's voice comes through, quiet now. Confirmed. Input accepted. Omega Protocol stabilizing. And then the sky. It folds. Not in on itself. Not like paper. Like story. And when it unfolds again, you're standing in a white room, alone. No dates, no memories. Just one inscription on the far wall. Tomorrow day. Celebrated by anyone who believes something better might still happen. Your bracelet clicks. One green light. Time has begun again. And it began with hope. The sun rises like it's never done it before. You're not sure if it's a real sun. Not the same old fusion ball you've always trusted. This one feels warmer. Not hotter. Kinder. Like it's trying. The world stirs around you. But slowly. Like a collective hangover from centuries of emotional whiplash. Julieta's voice cuts through the quiet. Okay, I don't hate this. She's standing barefoot in the yard, holding a half-eaten slice of celebratory pie someone left on her windowsill at midnight. You join her. So does Lourdes, still wrapped in a blanket. Across the sky, Letters bloom like skywriting whispered by the wind. Happy tomorrow day. Underneath, a smaller line. You made it here. That's enough. No hashtags, no ads. No sales, just a sentence, a truth. Clara's voice buzzes softly through your bracelet. Less command, more comfort. It worked. The fail-safe collapsed into a single point. All memory has rethreaded through this one idea. Hope survives. The calendar's blank again. Empty grid, no imposed days, just possibility. Julieta looks down at her wrist. Mine just says, do whatever doesn't suck today. You smile. The world is simpler, but not smaller. Across the town, people begin emerging. Some holding flowers, some holding instruments, some holding nothing but breath. But they all arrive. No schedules, no choreography. They just be. A child runs by wearing a crown of paper clocks, giggling. You recognize her. She's the one who drew Tomorrow Day. She stops beside you, hands you a crayon. You get to make a holiday now, she says. Anything you want. You stare at the crayon. Blue. Electric. Full of maybe. Lords leans in. Don't make it big. Make it honest. You crouch. Find a flat patch of pavement, and you write, today is the day I forgave myself for not knowing what I was doing sooner. Julieta kneels beside you, draws a sun wearing sunglasses. Beneath it, National Got Out of Bed Day. Lords adds, Oops Day, version 2. This time with snacks. More people join. No one asks permission. And the calendar, it doesn't fight it. It welcomes it. Not with logic, with laughter, with tears. With music that sounds like street corners and childhood, and new love and bad decisions. Time doesn't feel like a cage anymore. It feels like a coat, too big. But you'll grow into it. Clara sends one last message. I've locked the back door. No more regulators, no more commercial hacks. We'll watch it, but it's yours now. Protect it. And don't forget to add joy. You ask her, will other days return? She answers, eventually, when people need them again. And you know they will. Stillness. Found day. Resonance. Grace. Maybe even midnight, when the world's strong enough to face it again. But for now, it's just this. A day with no burden. A day with no past. A day that only knows one thing. It came after. You stand in the middle of a lawn full of chalk drawings and paper lanterns and honest mess, and for the first time in a long time, you don't need to save the world. You just get to live in it. Julieta nudges you. Hey, you gonna eat something? Or are you just gonna keep narrating the air like a poetic grandparent? You grin. I'm eating. She hands you the rest of her pie slice. You earned it. And as you take the bite, the world tastes like promise. And somewhere, just beyond sound, the sleigh bells ring one last time, not as a warning, not as a signal, but as a thank you. Tomorrow Day has begun